Mr. Kumar Pandey, Executive Chairman, National Hydropower Company Limited, to kindly join us onto the stage. Thank you very much, sir, for being present here and participating at the Nepal Infrastructure Summit. We'd also like to request Mr. Keshav Doj Adhikari, former Joint Secretary, Government of Nepal, to kindly join us onto the stage. And thank you, sir, for your participation and presence as well. We'd also like to invite Mr. Chen Yong, President of Huawei APAC Digital Power Smart PV and ESS. Thank you very much, sir, for your participation at the summit. We'd also like to invite Mr. Marc Tissot-Fabre, Senior Investment Specialist, GIZ, to kindly join us onto the stage as a panelist for this session on energy and water resources. We're also delighted to have Ms. Sujata Gupta, Director, Energy Sector Office, Asian Development Bank, with us. Thank you very much, ma'am, for your gracious presence, and we're excited to hear the insights that you bring to the panel as well. May I also please invite Mr. Ganesh Karki, President, Independent Power Producers Association of Nepal, IPPAN, to kindly join us in this panel as a panelist. I'd also like to invite Mr. Yongjin Hong, Managing Director of Nepal Water and Energy Development Company, to kindly join us onto the stage. Thank you very much, Mr. Hong, for joining us. And to bring this illustrious panel together, we have our moderator, Mr. Ashish Garg, Chair of the Energy Development Council at CNI. Please welcome our moderator with a big round of applause. Our moderator has a huge task in front of him to bring everybody together. So we'd like to now also request for the microphones to kindly be onto the stage if they aren't already. Yes. I've asked for the microphones to kindly be there. If I may request the technical team to kindly hand over the microphone to our moderator, to our panelists. Ladies and gentlemen, the theme we are diving into is energy and water resources, a very crucial topic, a very important topic. We have dignitaries from different backgrounds, stakeholders who are involved. And now may I please request Mr. Garg to take over with the session.
Good morning and namaste. Welcome to this first session of BYD Nepal Infrastructure Summit 2024. We just have 90 minutes. And such a heavyweight, eminent speakers. So, it will be a big challenge. So let's still stick to the time. So I'm your moderator, Ashish Garg. I lead the Energy Council in CNI. Without much of taking much of time in formalities, I'll move to the first presentation. Today we have Mr. Kumar Pandey, a very senior power sector specialist with the experience of more than 3 decades. He has carried out a research at the request of the organizer for last 2 months and prepared a research presentation, I would say. So I would request Mr. Pandey to proceed. You have 10 minutes to run through your research. Yeah. Yeah. Can you please load the presentation? The first presentation.
I will start. Good morning to you all. It's an honor and a privilege to be here. It's also very humbling and also pretty scary to try to make a 10-minute presentation trying to sum up the present status of the hydropower sector in Nepal and then to propose policy recommendations for it. So I think I will start off by saying that this is a very, it almost, as I look at the audience, it almost feels like preaching to the choir here. I mean, all of you, at least I see a lot of you that are already in the sector, and I believe you're all believers of the sector. So I personally, think that we're at a very exciting stage in the hydropower business in Nepal. It's a good time to be in the sector, and I think that there are tremendous opportunities that lie ahead. I mean, if you just look at the background, I mean, we're still consuming. The amount of energy we're consuming still comes, a lot of it still comes from agro and forest resources. That's almost 65% of our energy comes from those resources. almost 20 plus 25 to 30% comes from fossil fuels. Both of those resources are actually very unsustainable for our country in terms of environment, in terms of the forest resources, in terms of our foreign currency reserves, in terms of our macroeconomy. All of those, consuming those resources makes it kind of, it's not very sustainable for us to continue using those resources only. So if you look at the hydropower, if you look at the other alternative, then we've gone from 10 years ago or 12 years ago, we were consuming, our total energy needs was only about 2.5% of it came from the grid connected hydro, whereas now as of 20, we're consuming about 5% of our energy needs comes from grid connected electricity. So there's a tremendous growth in the kind of energy we're that is not my and there's a lot of there's a tremendous growth in the sector, in the investment wise, production wise, consumption wise. We've doubled in the last 10-15 years, and the trend will continue. The other interesting trend and a fascinating trend is the I'm just speaking out of memory here, I don't see my presentation. So we're seeing is the investment, the LAM articles. We're seeing investment in the sector, thousands of billions of rupees that have been invested in the sector. And another interesting part is that when we started, when the private sector actually came into the sector 20 some years ago, little did we know that 5-6 million Nepali people from the public would be major stakeholders in the industry. So we've got a huge backing of the private investors in the sector. So, slide on, sir? No.
Yeah, so we have a technical glitch. Your presentation is missing.
Okay.
So maybe,
I'll just...
No, let's do this way. We move to Keshavji for the second presentation. By the time you can fix up your, with the technical team. Yeah. So sorry, we'll make a twist here. So we'll move to the second presentation and, come back to Mr. Pandey, right? So we have Mr. Keshav Dhwaj Adhikari. He led the water resources infrastructure in the ministry for almost a decade. So he'll be presenting on the water resources infrastructure in Nepal, right? So Keshavji, you again have another 10 minutes to run through your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gaul. This is my presentation outline. I'll be, actually, Mr. Pandey is supposed to deal with energy and particularly power sector in detail, but the order of presentation is just altered. It doesn't matter. So I'll be dealing with mainly the water resources as a whole, not specific to power or irrigation or any specific use. So this is my presentation outline. So I'll be talking about water availability, then hydropower, then irrigation and domestic water to some extent, and issues and ways forward to resolve those issues. So first of all, this is a very moot question in Nepal. How much water is there in Nepal? So actually, the basis for the assessment is the different precipitation records and hydrometric records of the Department of Hydrology and Meteorology. So they have some 579 precipitation stations, and out of that 474 are in operation. Likewise, in more than 103 at more than 103 locations, they measure river discharges, discharge magnitudes every day. And how much water do we have in Nepal? So there are several sources, several documents indicating different figures, but more or less they are in consonance. So Water Resources Strategy 2002 says So total average precipitation annual is 1530 mm. Then runoff is 220 billion cubic meter. BCM is billion cubic meter. Then groundwater is 5.8. Similarly, at present, river basin plan for the entire Nepal is being presented and being finalized. This is almost final under Water and Energy Commission Secretariat. So according to that, the figure is slightly different: 1609 mm precipitation and 226.5 BCM of runoff. Water, likewise, groundwater 5 to 8. And World Bank, if you visit World Bank statistics the website, it says that the 2020 record, it has given details of all the water resources of all the countries. So in Nepal, it says it's 198 BCM. So in Nepal, more or less 200 BCM of water is available every year. So another thing I want to clarify, I think this will be a great service to the water resources fraternity as well, because many of us claim that Nepal is second in water resources, something like that. So actually, I investigated, what is the ranking of Nepal in water resources. So I just put the things in descending or ascending order, and I worked out. So Nepal ranks 36th in total annually renewable fresh water. Nepal is 36th. Of course, Brazil is number 1. Second is Russia. Third is Canada. Fourth, United States, and fifth, China. So India is far lower in the rank in total water resources as well. Likewise, in per capita availability of water, so Nepal ranks 59th. Iceland ranks first. The per capita per year water availability is highest in Iceland, and second, Guyana. Third is Suriname. So these countries which have relatively low population but very high precipitation, they have a lot of water per capita water. So Nepal withdraws about 9.5 billion cubic meter of water every year. So it is less than 5% of the total available. And you might have heard the term, water stress. So any country which withdraws water more than 25% of available resource, that is considered in water resource, water stress. So Nepal is far below the water stress level now, because we withdraw only 5%, but it's going to, we also have water stress in coming decades. I'll talk about that later. So now coming to hydropower, so see, because we were instructed while preparing this that we have to show the global perspective also, global situation also. In hydropower, China ranks, this is current capacity, current installed capacity of hydro. So some 421,000 megawatt is in China. Second is Brazil, 110,000 megawatt. It's 23 data, this one. And USA is 102. This is the ranking. So India is in 6th rank, 52. It has 52,000 megawatt of installed capacity now. I already said Iceland has highest per capita available water. Likewise, they also consume highest per capita of electricity. It is not limited to hydro only. All kinds of electricity from all sources. So it has 51,304 kilowatt hour units per capita per year, and it is ranked first but in total generation of electricity. So China, if you look at 6th row, so China is still the first, which generates more than almost 8 gigawatt of hour of electricity, 8 million gigawatt hour of electricity, and which is double that of USA. So Nepal's rank is 186th in per capita rank, and in total it is 115th. But this is a little. Yeah, but that table, the updated data regarding Nepal is Nepal has 380 kilowatt hour of per capita consumption per year at present. This is last fiscal year only, just 2 months back data, and the 16th plan says that it has a target to increase that 380 figure to 700 units per head per year. Then this is the distribution of how electricity is generated being generated in Nepal. So yesterday also someone was saying that private sector share is quite high. It's almost 80%. So in the pie chart, that gray area is generated by private hydro, and that also more than 1 megawatt capacity. And the blue one is from the public sector. But that private includes NEA subsidiaries also. And potentially, we talk a lot about potential. What is the potential of Nepal? But as such, that the figure of potential is very dynamic, and it has not much of any significance. So we found that previous studies had set installed capacity of Arun 3 at 402 megawatt, Upper Karnal at 300 megawatt, but later that changed to 900 megawatt each. So as installed capacities, the capacity, it depends on a host of factors like market condition, capital available, many things. So I think the best thing to take into account is the recent study. WEX has been preparing hydropower development master plan, and it's almost final now. So a very latest data. So they have worked out 3 scenarios. Base case, as per the projection by the 15th plan. Scenario 1 is it's an ADB projection, and scenario 2 is NEA projection. So according to which, so by 2050 we'll be needing that much of power. So 44,000 megawatt in base case, and about 19,000 megawatt.
Yeah. Keshavji, you have to rush. You just 1 minute, please. Okay.
So I think many things will be covered by Mr. Pandey's presentation also. So I'll skip this hydropower part. So this is the irrigation status in Nepal. So total agricultural land we have is more than 3.6 million, about 3.6 million hectare. Out of that, irrigable area is about 2.6 million hectare. So at present, 1.5 million hectare is under irrigation, but the year-round irrigation is only limited to 25% of the total area. So this is the status now. And there are several intervention diversion projects that have been identified, and some of them, actually two of them are under implementation. One is Bheri diversion project, and the other is Sunkoshi Marine diversion project. So now coming to WASH status. So there are certain figures at present. About 95% population has access to piped water, basic water supply. So just what I want to mention, on this WASH is, we have this SDG goals, according to which we are supposed to provide safe drinking water to the entire population by 2030. But we are very far from that reaching that target because the very recent WASP policy itself states that that will be met by about 2 decades later. So this is the basin-wide status of not exactly status. This is the demand. So by 2050 we'll be requiring about 56 billion cubic meter of water for irrigation and water supply, drinking water alone, which is 28%. So it is slightly more than 25%, and it's at a stage of water stage. And we have certain several issues in the water sector, but the main ones are natural constraints, that is variability of water availability, seasonal variability, and also spatial variation. And we have several policy issues. One thing I want to highlight here is we didn't have any water resources policy until very recently. Just in 2020, we could bring out water resources policy. So there are legislation. Our legislation, our laws are too shallow and too little to regulate water resources. That is, and institutional. There are issues also, mainly overlapping and confusing and too many institutions. I just want to highlight one thing here. See, in Kathmandu, in order to water to Kathmandu people, Kathmandu Valley people, we have about half dozen institutions involved. And in Bangkok city, I found that they have only one institution, only one agency that supplies water, and it doesn't have any supervisory organization and any subordinate organization.
You'll have to close now.
And there are ways forward also, and in order to resolve those issues. So we have very piecemeal basis. We have been working in power sector, irrigation, everywhere. So we have to work from whole to part. Plan water resources as a whole. Then according to inconsistent with that overall river basin plan, prepare use specific master plans and implement it, adhere to those plans by every agency, by every governments of every tier. So one interesting thing I want to highlight here is there is an institution called National Water Resources Development Committee, Water Resources Development Council, headed by the Prime Minister. You may be surprised to hear that agency has not met at least for last 25 years. This is the situation in Nepal. And so very elaborate kind of legislations are required, particularly in today's context, demarcating rights and responsibilities of governments of every level, provincial government, central and local level. Then river basin plan and those master plans, they should be made legally enforceable effects. Now, what we have now is a national water plan prepared in 2005, but no periodic plan or even in annual plans of concerned agency, they don't give anything about those plans when they.
So I think now, sorry to.
Okay, so this is the last slide. Okay, yeah. This is the last slide. This is what I could, tell you within the given minutes. Okay.
So we have a detailed paper in our souvenir, whatever research has been carried out. So this was very short glimpse of that. You can read it in the souvenir. Now I'll move to the keynote speech. We'll come to Mr. Pandey. Is ready? Okay, sorry. So back to Mr. Pandey. So your time is even short now. Sorry. So 5 minutes.
Got it. Without further ado, I will get back to my presentation if it can be made available. So I was just summing up that in summary, I mean, for those that came late, I already made first part of my presentation, so this is the second part. We're in a very exciting stage for the hydropower sector. A lot of things happening. It's a very quickly, rapidly moving.
Yeah, you will see
Okay,
the first.
so it's a very rapidly moving industry. Every day something new is happening. Sometimes it's cross-border, sometimes it's large projects in Nepal, sometimes it's major transmission lines being built, sometimes it's foreign investments, then it's new acts and policies. So there's lots of things happening every day. So it's hard to keep up, but there's lots of things happening. What the hell? Oh, this.
Yeah. Can you move to the next slide? There is some problem with the pointer.
Last go. Oh, okay. So I will quickly move on to the challenges and the hindrances in the sector. And as I say this, I think we'll just have to understand that for each of these new policy intervention is required. So I will not get into the policy interventions specifically, but as we go through the challenges, keep in mind that all of these challenges require policy intervention for the sector to move forward. So the major challenges then are basically the legal and policy aspects. I mean, if you just look at what we're going through, the present act we're working with came in 1991-92. It's about 32 years old, 33 years old. We've tried to enact new policies for the last almost, I think, at least 17, 18 years. We've not been able to do that. So when we do not get policies like that in place, the 28,000 megawatts that you'll hear about a lot, that policy has been talked about so often, but we've not seen the blueprint of it. We don't know where that's going. There are, as Mr. Adhikari said just a few minutes ago, just as in the water resources sector, there are lots of policies that conflict with each other, between ministries within the sector itself, and it's open for interpretation. So these things need to change. There are administrative hindrances. There are lots of complex and time-consuming approval processes. There are lots of ministries that we have to go through. There's federalism has come, but it's come with a cost to the sector, as in there's still not clarity in the policies and responsibilities of the different sectors. Oh, okay. So then, if you go to the technical side, transmission lines is the largest bottleneck right now. You just don't have adequate transmission lines, and the transmission lines that we have just don't have the capacity to carry the power that's supposed to carry. And then there are lots of issues with building and completing transmission lines in time. The right-of-way issues, the compensation issues, the forest clearance issues, all of these need to be tackled. And then there are issues with other infrastructures. If you're trying to build hydropower, now as we're moving more and more to remote areas, further from cities, northern side, western side of Nepal, there are roads, bridges. I mean, those of us that are building projects and have just come through this very, very tough monsoon know what the cost of not having a good infrastructure is on these projects. Communication systems is a major challenge. If you really want to build and do it quickly, you need to have proper communication systems, because we live in a digital world, and if we can't transfer data, then it makes it difficult. Then there's technical supports. If the further rural areas you go to, there aren't any workshops, there aren't any offices, there aren't any, even if you need to make a photocopy of a page, that facility isn't there. So all these are challenges. Then there's, on the technical side, the system imbalance challenge. I mean, Mr. Adhikari alluded to this just a bit earlier about how our rivers, we're predominantly monsoon-fed rivers, and that creates the system imbalance for the daily peak as well as for the seasonal peak. Okay. Then there's the financial challenges. our aspirations is to build 28,500 megawatts in the next 11 years. Our aspiration is to export 10,000 megawatts in the next 9 years. But we have to think about where the money is going to come to build these projects, to get this out from Nepal, to export them. We need lots of money, but we also need cheap money, because we are competing with other sources of fuel as well as hydro produced in India or Bangladesh to make this sale. And then if we talk about raising funds in public, it's a lengthy process. It's a very difficult process. I mean, something that's hitting all of us right now is just because there isn't a chairman at Sibon, we haven't been able to get our IPOs or rights issues for the last 8-9 months. Things like that are a major challenge for us. We've always hoped and talked about attracting foreign investment in the sector, but we have to realize that just by saying we want foreign investment, they're not going to come. We need to be competitive. We need to understand that foreign investment is our need as much as their need. We need to compete with countries that are providing lots of incentives and benefits to foreign investments. If we do not take that step and raise, go forward trying to attract these investors, we're not going to be there. Market is an issue. Where do we sell the energy we produce? As soon as we talk about markets, we talk about two different markets, one in Nepal and one abroad. The challenge here is we are now saying Nepal is over 91% electrified, so there's a very small market segment available in Nepal for expansion. So we need to look at what the present market can consume, how we can industrialize, and again there's the challenge of actually industrializing the nation before we can have them consume electricity. And then there's cross-border markets. There's a number of issues with that, but the major issue is our geopolitical considerations, because as soon as we talk about exporting power, there are political and geopolitical issues involved, and it's a reality that we cannot deny. It cannot and will never be a purely an economic or a commercial deal. So it's geopolitical from both sides, from the buyers as well as from our side. I will not go into much detail there. And then there is, again, our own issues about not having the rules and regulations in place to actually make these. So having said that now, so for all those then we need policy intervention. So I will leave it to your imagination at this time to think what policies we need to take care of those challenges and hindrances. But I want to also leave with an optimistic note here, saying, but there are opportunities for growth and investment. For those of you that are looking to invest in the sector and saying, where can I invest, where can I provide the services? These are the 5 or 6 points that we could be looking at. There are financial services required, meaning we need a lot of money, people that can bring money and provide those to the developers. Again, there's a business for you. There's engineering services and retrofitting services, because we've already got over 200 projects that are in operation, another 200 that will come online soon. So if we have 400-500 projects in the works, that means all these projects require engineering, require retrofitting, require repair and maintenance. So if you're thinking of investing in that level of infrastructure, I think this is a good time to do it. Similar with construction and structural works. Trading of electricity is going to be a major issue in the coming days. I'm convinced we will get the regulations in place. We will work out the geopolitical issues. This will be something that investment will be required in. We need to look at energy-intensive industries, because our aspiration is to sell or consume as much energy as possible in Nepal. So that means we need to have industries, appliances, heavy manufacturing, EVs, all those and their ancillaries produced in Nepal. So there's a scope for that as well. And then we talk about these high-value energy projects that can produce energy, high-value energy, as in if we can build solar PVs to complement hydro in the dry season, that will be very valuable. If we can produce hydrogen or its derivatives from the hydro that we can have excess energy, that will be very beneficial. We've talked about daily and seasonal storage projects as well as pump storage projects. We talk about both hydrogen and pump storage being the future of energy. These need to be investigated, and investments in that is possible. And finally, this is my way forward. We need to move away from traditional fuels because they're not sustainable. We need to enact timely legislation and policies. We need to harmonize the policies that we have. We need to build adequate infrastructure. We need to create markets in the country as well as look at cross-border trading. We need to seek adequate funds that are cheaply available. And then we need to make the sector investment friendly. And with that, I will conclude.
Thank you. So in page number 65 of this souvenir, you have the whole, research paper by Mr. Pandey. So thank you so much. A lot of interesting things, but we have to continue to rush. Yeah, so we have to rush. So we move to our guest from Huawei. He's flown all the way from Kuala Lumpur for this summit. Mr. Cheng Yong. He's the president of Huawei Smart PV and Energy Storage business for Asia Pacific. And we are glad to have him here. So please, you have your keynote speech. Again, 7 minutes to run.
I will try to make 5 minutes to save some time. So distinguished guests, the panelists, and also the moderator, I'm Ricky. Chinese name is Chen Yong. I'm responsible for the Asian Pacific region for the solar and the storage business. So may you just present my slide?
Yeah. Can you load the presentation? Yeah.
Yes, I think it's the right sequence that I just behind the other for the solar business. As you can see, there are very big zero on the page. What it means zero? Zero means zero carbon emission, because the worldwide we are aiming to the target for the carbon neutrality everywhere. So I think the solar technology will be the important trend in the coming decades. So would you go to the next page? Yes, I think this page is saying that the worldwidely we have the common target, right? All the unit, all the countries, all the region have the same target to have the carbon neutrality. Some regions are earlier, some are behind, but I think this is one of the important agreement with all the countries. So in the future, as you can see, we will have coverage for most of the people for the carbon neutrality talk. Yeah. So you can see for the low carbon plan, we can see as of today, the power consumption percentage by different sector. And today you can see the electric power consumption ratio playing a very important role. And in the bottom, we can see for the future, for the generation side, the clean energy like solar, wind will occupy more and more percentage in 2050. And also for the consumption point of view, the share of the electricity will also occupy more than half in the future. So this is a big trend. And this trend, I don't think it will stop, because this is the common understanding for the whole world and industry. And on the right side, as we can see, in the future, the digital technology will also to reinforce the current electricity technology to make the emission reduce will be much more compared with today. But the technology itself, I mean, is only just maybe less than 2% of the carbon emission. So I think it's a good way to utilize our strategy together. Yes, and today, I think we are so excited. Everybody here in the witness of the new generation for the energy revolution. As you can see, in the early of 19th century, this is the first energy industry revolution, the core energy. Then go to the second one. In the last century, the gas is playing the important role, right? And then later on, we have also the nuclear power and also the hydropower, which we just mentioned right now. I think this is the third round for the revolution. And then also in this century, wind power, solar is also making an important role. I mean, every country is focused how to make the renewable energy in more percentage to complement the country strategy. And then we are here to of the renovation is that the digital technology will reinforce all the past technology, especially on the renewable energy. Yeah. So the digital technology will play an important role together with electricity technology. So as you can see, for the renewable energy, I think we can have some very important significance. First one, we will have low carbon power generation. So in the future, in the world widely, the PV, solar, and also the energy storage capability will extremely rapidly grow. So I think this is some big trend that the world are sharing. And also for our transportation, our mobility, in the future, the electricity will be fast and speed up. I'm very happy today actually is my first time in this nice country, Nepal. But when I landed here, my friend told me that in Nepal, the EV charging car already grow very fast. I think this is also a very good strategy. And then also, in the future, we will have more and more data center facility. Everybody is using like TikTok, like WhatsApp, like the video technologies, also the AI. All those things, computing, all those things will also rely on our green transformation for those data center facility. So all for that, we rely on the renewable energy together. So as a technical company, Huawei, we have more than almost 38 years already on the ICT, telecom, carrier, industry business. In the past years, we already, working hardly on the ICT technology, on the digital technology. So until today, we have the different section for our ICT industry. So that means we are strong on the ICT technology like the AI, like the technology based on the bit, which you can see on the right bottom side. Then the traditional power technology is more rely on the watt, the heat, the battery, and also the materials related to technology. So we, as a technical company, we would like to combine these two strengths together to contribute to this solar and storage and the renewable energy technology. Then this technology can be utilized to different industries like the green power generation, like the energy internet, and also the mobility electricity, the ICT power infrastructure, and also the integrated smart energy. So in the future, we do believe this green technology will contribute more and more, not only complement for the traditional energy, but also can significantly reduce the safety risk and also improve the efficiency and the performance. So the last page for me, I will make it shortly, because today we are in the new start. Especially in Nepal, I see that you have traditional the hydro system very strong, but I think the solar and the storage energy will be the new setup to complement this technology to contribute to the nation strategy of your energy. So 3 keywords. First one is that we are trying to make the technical leadership together, because let's say energy is just something with normal hardware, software, but we would like to use the technical leadership together, try to make the software plus the hardware, plus the management system, plus the AI technology to be a better, efficient network to contribute to our nation grid. And the second key was that we need to try to working together to see how we make a better policy to incentive this market, to make sure that the people, investor, and the stakeholders, and also the human here, citizen here, are happy to accept this new technology together. Yeah, this will not be like a threat for the old one, just to be a new friends, new partner for the old, the traditional energy together. Yeah. The last one is that keywords is that we need to work in as a partnership together. Our company is focused on the technical part, and we wish more and more local partners can work in together to see how we can make the good plan and to make a good program and to be reasonable to contribute to our Nepal grid and our Nepal green future together. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ricky. So very interesting. We have to develop our power sector with this cutting edge technology. just simply doing projects without the real technical know-how could be really challenging for us. So now I move to our panel discussion. Let's start with the CEO from Nepal Water, Electricity and Development Company, Mr. Hong. So you are developing the 216 megawatt Upper Trishuli hydropower project, which is by far the largest foreign investment project in Nepal by the private sector. So, what brought you to Nepal? Like, why you choose Nepal as an investment destination? As you know, one of our, Mr. Pandey mentioned that there are so many options for you globally. So why Nepal's hydropower, and how is your journey till date?
Can you hear me? Yes. Good morning, everyone. My name is Youngjin Hong, and I'm working for UT1 hydropower project. The project company is NWDC. I'm working for there as a managing director. As moderator explained earlier, UT1 project is 216 megawatt hydropower project. And as far as I know, as of today, the most largest FDI hydropower project in Nepal. Before I answer to that question in detail, let me briefly explain our project modality. Our project is, total project cost is $645 million US. And out of the 70% is loan and 30% is funded by the equity side. So in equity side, mainly Korean government, Korean the entity, like my parent company, Cohen also participate as a main shareholder. And 70% of project total cost is funded by the world international lenders like World Bank, IFC, ADB, and the AIIB. So the main reason why the Korean shareholders decided to invest this project is, first of all, we acknowledged Nepal hydropower resource is very huge and potential in terms of investment. Also, the other main reason is also Korean government has a renewable power policy. So we also try to invest worldwidely international renewable energy sector like Nepal and Pakistan, Bulgaria, Europe, and South America as well. Also, we have a PDA PDA with the MOE, Minister of Energy, very reliable and bankable from the investor side as well as lender side. As also we have a foreign currency-based PPA, power purchase agreement with NEA. So that is main reason how we can collect all the other foreign shareholders as well as international lenders.
Thank you. So very inspiring for other investors to come to Nepal and invest in our hydropower sector. So now Mrs. Gupta from Asian Development Bank, you've seen that Nepal we did lot of money, maybe more than $40 billion to achieve that 28,500 in next 11 years. So ADB we have seen that is not so forthcoming in private sector investment. It's more on the government side. So what has been your experience in investing in energy and water resources projects in Nepal, and how your funds could find its way in private sector?
Thank you very much. And in the beginning, I would like to thank the organizers for inviting the Asian Development Bank over here to this very, I think, important and relevant meeting. So again, there is the impression that ADB is not very heavily involved in the private sector in Nepal, but the project that was mentioned by Mr. Hong, the Upper Trishuli project, ADB's private sector is financing that or co-financing it with other international lenders. Also, in the early 2000s, we have financed the Kimti hydropower project. But again, ADB does realize that not only in Nepal, but otherwise, public resources are not sufficient to meet the investment, and especially the infrastructure investment requirements. So within ADB, even when we work on our sovereign projects, we have a mandate that you have to create an enabling environment for private sector projects. So here, at least 40% of our sovereign projects have to have this element of private sector development. And then we may be not so visible in energy sector projects, but indirectly we are supporting the private sector. So for example, as was mentioned by the keynote speaker, there is a huge requirement for transmission lines. So ADB is building transmission lines along the major river corridors, and that would encourage private sector investments in generation, because now there would be an evacuation network. So I think ADB is proud that the sovereign sector has been involved in more than 40% of the national transmission network. And of course, we've been engaged for the last 50 years or so. And when we started our engagement with Nepal, only 2% electrification was there in 1972. Today, the electrification is 98%. So that's, and we are very happy and proud that we have been a partner of Nepal in this. Then again, the previous speaker referred to certain policy requirements. I think what is also required, so agree 100% with that, with what Mr. Pandey said, but we also need to have more transparency. We also, so to be able to attract foreign direct investments, in addition to policy, transparency is required. And international financial institutions are looking for very, very well-formulated and implemented environmental and social safeguards. So again, that's a major requirement to attract international financing. And again, what is, I think, has been a positive development is my co-panelist, his office. So setting up a regulator's office, which will help bring about more transparency, etc., will attract more of ADB's financing, as well as, I think, the private sector. And again, we are currently focused more on sovereign or lending, but our focus is on increasing private sector partnership. So in fact, joining me in this meeting are also my colleagues from what we call our Office of Market Development and Public-Private Partnership. And we are engaging with the government to develop not only energy sector, but other sectors, public-private partnership projects, as well as pure private investments. So let me stop here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So seems there's a lot of money coming in. Thank you. So I'll move to Mr. Karki, our president of the Power Producer Association. So as you would have seen in Mr. Adhikari's presentation, 80% generation is from private sector, and private sector is leading the way in hydropower generation in Nepal. So Mr. Karki, what do you think? How much you can take from the 28,500 megawatt private sector? And what do you need? How much will take and how much you need?
Thank you. Thank you, Ashish. It's my honor to be here, and respected speaker and all the distinguished guests. It's a very good questions for us. That 28,500 megawatt is, I think, is a little bit bold, but it's a realistic, and we can reach that goal. So out of that, we have seen, say 1,300, 500 megawatt is for the domestic consumption, and 15,000 is for the export. So recently, we have Nepal has signed the agreement with India for for 10,000 megawatt in 10 years. So, and also the very soon I think we'll sign with the Bangladesh also. Now, today I just like to offer the momentum of the Nepali private sector. So today just Ashish already told that we have installed capacity is 3,130 megawatt around, so 80% stake is from private sector, and another 3,900 megawatt is already under construction, and another 3,000 megawatt is already done PPA and waiting for the financial closure. So it shows that we'll have around 10,000 megawatt by 2028, I think so. Another 20,000 megawatt is already, we are in the queue for in NEA for the PPA. So it shows that we can do a little more if there is a regulation, if the PPA allowed. So second thing is that one of the most best part of this journey that already we in this presentation also was that we need to complete this 28,000. We need 46 billion US dollar. So one of the best part that there is a significant investment opportunity for all of you. And not only investment opportunity, that also there is, we can offer that the significant opportunity for the supplier, manufacturer, designer, consultant, banker, insurance, reinsurance. So this is one of the best part for us. So the private sector, the Nepali private sector, robust participation, and the regional energy cooperation with India and Bangladesh, hopefully we can reach this goal. So that we, private sector continuously, in Nepali private sector continuously giving the suggestion to the government that we can, another 10,000 megawatt we can lead and we can do that, and further we need a participation and within support for the foreign investment also. So very soon I think Nepal with the right policy and infrastructure, Nepal can be a battery for South Asia, I think. Thank you.
So you are ready to take 28,500. You need $46 billion, right?
Yeah, we need $46 billion, but it's a significant opportunity for the investor also.
Right.
The world is seeking to invest in the green energy.
Right. Right.
Nepal will be the best place to invest. So I think.
Right. So I think there's a question for the chair also on the right regulatory framework to make this happen. So I'll move to now Mr. Mark. He looks after the trade and investment at the European Union office here. They have a project, the GIZ project, which is promoting investment in Nepal. So how do you foresee, how do you see the power sector developing in Nepal? You've heard the power producers, the lenders and others. So how do you see the power sector developing in Nepal? And based on your global lessons learned, I mean, how do you analyze it? Where are we heading?
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation, and I'm very honored to be on this panel. And first, just to say what we're doing here. I mean, I work with the EU GIZ program called the Investment Support Facility. Since the month of May, we've been identifying investment projects and opportunities in energy, also agriculture, IT, and tourism. And the objective is to build a pipeline of investment projects and to promote it in Brussels and generally in the EU. Presented to, for instance, the French Business Confederation or Association of Entrepreneurs in Germany, Sweden, Belgium, and so on. So they are aware of the investment opportunities in Nepal. And of course, so, I mean, prior to this working here with GIZ and the EU, I've been working some years at the European Commission developing what we call innovative financial instruments, so for instance, blended finance. So how does this work? I think is, many people know blended finance. I think it works with grants and loans. I mean, the EU is actually giving guarantees to development banks to invest in a pipeline of projects around outside the EU, especially with in the infrastructure. And for Nepal, I think one first challenge, I think, to promote Nepal is that Europe has very much its eyes on Africa for the geographical and historical reasons, I think. But now, I think lots of things have changed, and it's probably quite best momentum or best period to really try to accelerate the financing coming from EU or EU operators. I think what I see is that for the last maybe 15, 20 years, I think that there has been a pioneering development finance institutions from the EU, I think especially of FMO, the Dutch Development Bank. Now there are a lot more. I think the French Development Agency, maybe the German or the European Investment Bank have invested together in some transmission and hydropower projects. I think the next challenge is really to use the EU financial capacity that has been developed through guarantee programs with the development banks to attract a lot more private sector operators, private sector companies and hydropower companies from Europe, electricity company from Europe, also probably some technological company, and private finance from Europe. I think that's the challenge, and that's what we are working on with the ISF, the GIZ program implemented for the EU. And well, I think that's what we're trying to do. So.
Yeah, thank you. So, so how much $1 billion you think could be channelized from the European DFIs, and just to estimate in the next 10 years?
I think there's no specific allocation. I mean, I don't want to bore you with too much EU technicalities, but the financing used to be allocated by region and countries a bit strictly. Now it's completely open. It's more or less on demand. It depends on how much good investment projects you can bring to the EU and development banks. I mean, now there are really a lot of them for what we see in our pipeline. I wouldn't say that there's no limit, but they are really extremely extensive capacities to be utilized for thinking of some de-risking and guarantee capacity to facilitate the emission of bonds on stock markets. Could be in Kathmandu or in India or elsewhere where you want. So now I think in the 2023 or 46 billion, of course, is bold and ambitious, and I'm not saying we can reach that quite fast, but I think the EU can really contribute significantly to financing what's needed in the hydropower development in Nepal, I think.
Yeah. So I go back to Mrs. Gupta. As a multilateral, you have experience globally on, how the energy sector is developing and what are the fundamentals. So how do you see, this target and ADB's, role in that? And further, the private sector complains of not having any access to green or climate financing. What we have been borrowing in Nepal is, at commercial rates, floating interest rates, short tenors. So how could ADB also, contribute to that or channelize these type of funds for Nepal's energy sector?
Should work now. Yes. So I think what's required, we already have an idea of the magnitude of funding required. And just to put it in context, over the last 50 years, ADB has done around 1.5 billion in the energy sector. I think we would be, I'll actually take this question which you posed to the EU, and we target to do at least 1.5 billion over the next 5-6 years. So that's the acceleration of our investments in the energy sector. However, what's important is that ADB will try to leverage our investment. So similar to the guarantees, we try to bring in bilateral funding, and this takes me to the second part of your question. We are trying to leverage in concessional funds, the climate funds. And so, for example, there is the Climate Investment Fund. So we bring that in to co-finance our projects. Other bilaterals join to co-finance our projects. So in addition to the ADB's own money, we are able to leverage in a sufficient quantity. Now, how to get concessional climate financing into Nepal projects? One very strong potential area is export of this clean energy and getting it by way of carbon markets. So sale of emission reduction credits. Unfortunately, if it's consumed within the country, you don't generate so much of credit. But Nepal is increasingly, with the development of the transmission network, becoming a very important player in the regional market. So exporting to Bangladesh, India, which is predominantly fossil fuel dominated, will generate a lot of emission reductions, which can then be traded in a carbon market. So that's another way. All the other previous things we spoke about, how to attract more foreign investment, applies equally to climate finance.
So I think 1.5 billion in 5 years, so maybe in 10 years, even more, and that also concessional. So, so Mr. Hong, what do you feel, what challenges you faced in developing your project in terms of, the currency hedging and, convincing the foreign lenders, and also the issues you faced with the approvals to take your project forward? If you could elaborate on that.
Yeah, actually, as you might know, hydropower project is very complicated, and there are many stakeholders also engaged. So it's a little bit challenging to manage and handle that kind of the issues. So I just briefly, although there are so many issues which we faced previously, but I just brought some simple cases related with the lenders and as well as government side. So as I told you earlier, we have 9 international lenders. So they have their own standards and requirements, especially in ENS part, environment and social. So it's a little bit challenging to meet their requirement in ENS part, but finally we are a little bit confident to meet their requirement. So now their fund is going on well. So I think because of that, I'm a little bit pretty much confident our lithium project is one of the best in ENS sector in Nepal. For example, biodiversity in environment and the affected people's enhancement like IPP and LIRP plan. Also, labor's accommodation and labor's HR policy is very much well advanced because of the lenders' requirement. And the other one is from the government side. As we already received lots of support from the government, from the various entities, but still there is some room for more improvement because we are the international investors, like not only our shareholders as well as lenders, that there are so many international consultants as well. They came to Nepal for our project. But their payment or visa, repatriation, and many their activities needed to be approved by the government entities. But that entity is not only one. There are so many entities also involved. So that procedure is very lengthy. So because of that, they feel very inconvenient. So I think in terms of foreign investment side, I think that kind of procedure can be more simplified so that other future foreign investor can be more comfortable to investment in Nepal. Also, there is some omission in the government policy as well regarding the hydropower. Like there is no local share distribution from the private company. So we request government to set up that kind of policy so that we can meet the requirement from the government side as well. Also, there is some forest and land issues. Actually, there are lots of policies related with the forest and the land, and it is not consistent. It changed lots of times, but investor should be protected by the PDA signed with the MOE in terms of change in law. But due to a lack of acknowledgement from the other government entity like MOF, so it is not solved well. So we continuously ask MOE to coordinate with the other government entity so that the PDA can be implemented as signed with the government entities. So that's the main challenges, but nevertheless, we a little bit confident to overcome all the challenges. So project is going on well now. Physical progress is around 42%, and the financial progress is more than 50%, and we are targeting to complete this project by the end of the 2026. So this is current situation, but I would like to suggest the government to make more foreign investor favorable policy. So there is some definitely room for more to be more improved. Yes, thank you.
So I think policy stability in Nepal is very much required.
Sure.
So yeah, so we have an act which is 32 years old. So it's time really to change it, to come with a more current situation-driven act. So you know, I'll just try to relate this with Mr. Karki's experience as a domestic Nepalese hydropower developer. So you know, what are the problems you are facing? And I mean, if you could sum up in 3 key suggestions to the government, what do you want? 1, 2, 3.
Thank you very much. So, same case he already described a lot. So the main important things is the policies and regulatory, and because we have seen that the government might change, but policy should be constant, and there's a problem that we have to run more than 14 ministry and so many departments. Then, because of that, we suggested government to fulfill this goal because we have a dream to complete the 28,000 megawatt. So it should be one-stop solution, one policy. That because we have to run to clear the EIA and IE, it will take 3 to 5 years. If it takes 3 to 5 years, then how could we complete this project within 10 years? So we have given the suggestion that it should be within 3 months, land acquisition. And so most important thing is the electricity bill. That's, you already mentioned that is already too old. So it's in the parliament. So we have given so many suggestions that it should be a local investment friendly, FDI friendly. Otherwise, no one will be invest here. So this is the main part. And second thing that we are facing since long time, even I told before, more than 20,000 megawatt is hanging in the NEA, waiting for PPA. If we need to complete our dream, because 10 years is not far, so it should be open immediately. And at the same time, because we are facing the main problem is transmission line, because some project is completed and there is no transmission line, so it should be complete, or otherwise we are requesting and we have given the suggestion that it should be, the private sector should be involved in the transmission line also. And third is the energy trading, it should be involved by private sector. It will be much better that it's easy to deal with the Indian partners and Bangladeshi partners. And because there are also so many the private sector involved in this sector. So this is the major thing. So I again request that the policy should be consistent, and the EIC chairman also here. Hopefully it will be. That now it seems the government is very strong and they're willing to do something, and the minister is also willing to do something. So hopefully it will change and we can fulfill our dream very soon, I think.
So you want one window, one door, one stop?
No, it should be, because we don't have time to run the 14 ministry and so, the 200 department and the many tables. And also there is, because we have to answer why in Nepal, because there are so many countries to invest, more than 200 countries. So we have to answer them, because we can offer this kind of facility in Nepal, then they will come, because it's a good time. There's a market. We have a project in India and Bangladesh market. Also, China is willing to import something. So it's the best time. So it's a best time to invest. So this is the main thing that I offer.
Right. So now I'll move to maybe a technical question to our friend from Huawei. So, the presentation by Mr. Pandey mentioned about value-added projects that, solar PV could complement Nepal's hydro. So what is your, experience or products you have on the energy storage and also the smart PV? You think that can resolve the run-of-the-river projects' seasonal variation? Or can it be an answer to pump hydro by having a battery storage? Is it really feasible in the present technology?
Yes, as Huawei, we are already working on many years on the technology innovation on the solar system and also on the battery system. So because Huawei actually in the past years, we always invest at least 12% of last year's revenue back to the next year's R&D investment to innovative on the new technology. And even in the recent couple of years, we even invest more than 20% of our whole revenue on the next year's R&D. So this will bring our technology on the solar and the storage part in a more leading position. I think I can, to be more easily expressed the key point, I will use several keywords. Because our system over the solar and also the energy system is designed based on the stream technology. Stream, that means you can put in different units one by one, and if you compare with the utilized, centralized technology, when one unit failed or make a faulty, the rest of the system can still working. This is one of the advantage. And secondly, because we have the optimizer for each rack and the pack of our solar system and the battery system. So that means we can have better production for the power generation. So that means you have the same investment, but you have more power generation. The financially is better. And the next that our system is designed in AI technology. So that means we have a better efficiency to manage the whole system, because we can control each unit by the optimizer and also by our EMS system together to remote control our solar system. That means we don't need to send people on site every day to review the faulty, to repair the faulty or something. So this will significantly reduce the OPEX as well. And the next one is that for the safety, because I think especially for the energy system, it's like kind of another wording of battery, right? So for battery, for energy system, the most important is safety. If you get some fire, you get some accidents, and this will make a big trouble for the industry, for everywhere. So that means for the safety, we are choosing the best cells. We are choosing the best component to make the storage system, to make sure that more than 99.9% the stability in 20 or even more than 20 years life cycle, and with a good warranty for the system. So this is the next one. And also, next one is that regarding our platform and the service capability, because we are not doing only the renewable energy industry. We do in the telecom, we do in the consumer, we are doing the enterprise business. That means, like in Nepal, we have so many years residents here. We have a team to make sure the worldwide, in any country, we deploy the business. We will have the hotline. If you have any trouble, you call our people. Our people will respond quickly, physically in this country, in this region. This is something we already use many years to set up the system, and as well as our spare part and logistical capability. So this is some keywords for our technology. Then in overall, to see the solar and storage solution, I think we are aiming the technology not by piece and a piece. We are aiming the technology by system level, because all those systems in the future, you are connected to grid, right? So if such a huge gigawatts level of the renewable energy from the solar and to the grid, I mean, we are designing a system by the system level. And for example, the grid forming technology, where I mean, we can try to stabilize the grid when the traditional energy is less. The more renewable energy is injected to the grid. That means we have some trouble, right? But our system, we are working as a system level by that software defined AI technology. So this is something very important. Then second question regarding the compare with the hydro system. I think hydro in Nepal for sure is the mainstream technology. I think you also have the advantage, but no energy is perfect, right? I think hydro, as the gentleman mentioned already, that you have a season issue. If you are in not the rainy season, maybe you don't have the stable output, and also in some of the area you need to some like a special place. You are difficult to approach to build the system, right? But I think for the storage system, there are very obvious advantage is that storage no need to rely on the weather. I mean, if there is the sun, the solar system is working, right? But if there is no sun, I mean, sometimes you can also try to store partially the heating, and partially you can also storage some energy from the grid, because, for example, in some peak hours, the price may be higher than you can try to reduce. You can try to use the power you store in the battery storage, which you store when the price is lower. So, for example, the battery can work in the night hours to store the energy that can use in the daytime. So, and also we can try to make sure that in the future to stabilize the frequency of the grid, stabilize the voltage of the grid. the storage can work in a system level to work in the AI driving technology. So I think in the future with hydro, these two technology can working together to make sure the plan of the country level is good enough. I think in the whole world, as I mentioned in my slide, that all the worldwide countries already make the solar as a big plan in the future. Some countries put the solar and energy power maybe up to 10 to 15%. Some countries is like Singapore, they are even moving to even higher percentage. So I do believe that working together with the technology, we can find some way to approach a better setup of Nepal grid in the future. Yeah.
Thank you. So now it's time to open the floor. So we already have a question from our senior hydropower advisor, Mr. Pradhan. So maybe you can, the mic, please.
Can we please have the microphone? And I'd like to inform our moderator that we just have 3 more minutes before we conclude the session.
Thank you.
We have the chair's conclusion
Yes, of
also.
course.
Thank you.
After that.
Actually, I'm involved. I'm Energy Development Council advisor. So I have a few comments. I think rather than be talking the status report now, it's time to look forward. I find something lacking in this session that the looking forward, we have to focus more rather than potential. We have 43,000 or 83,000 or 1 lakh megawatt. We have only 3,000 now. So that's my suggestion. Second, something is missing. Like we are talking of export now, but we are not doing anything on the regional energy market. We don't have the status report, how much India need, when they need, which month, which time. So if you see India now, India is dying for, they have power cut at 12 midnight. Bangladesh having power cut at 12 midnight and the price is 10 rupees Indian currency. We can't compete with solar. So this also we need to look forward for the regional energy because we are exporting power now. Third, what I can see is that our potential will go very high, like 300 megawatt, Adun became 900 megawatt because they are exporting to India. And everything we planning to export to India and consume very small quantity, small megawatt. So now all our megawatt will go up. So water value, the flood control value will be much higher and megawatt will be much better, like 300 megawatt Adun became 900 megawatt for the Indian development. Next, I can see we are not talking about the consumption. Consumption will have to increase at least to 800, 1,000 kilowatt hour per capita by next 3 years, 4 years, which we can do in cooking. CNI did one very nice report. We found that 35% of our fuel is coming from the fossil fuel in industry now. Why not to replace to the electricity? Government giving some incentive, no? That also we need to focus that one now. 10,000 megawatt, we are talking. When is the start date? When is the end date? Why not to challenge India? Within 7 years, do 10,000. Come on, we change the policy. These are the policy we changed. Now we challenge you to come in 7 years. Why 10 years? We need to challenge to India that also. Pancheshwar, we need to focus a lot. Any visit of this Prime Minister to India, to Nepal, Nepal to India, we're talking Pancheshwar because India is dying. There is no water in Delhi. The Ganga is so dirty. The navigation system is so bad. UP and Bihar productivity, agro-productivity is too poor because there is no water. And Pancheshwar is the only source. Pancheshwar is possible with zero investment from Nepal, taking 50% light from Nepal. We are not focusing on that. I think we need to do that one. Next, what can you see that? Billions ka Handu Railway. We are talking now. It can consume 1,000 megawatt with urban developments, including railway, electrical railway. That's a huge load. From 3,000 megawatt, we can consume 1,000 megawatt. We need to focus on that. I see that. Bangladesh export, I really want to thank the 2 people really working behind Bangladesh export. One is Farooq sir, who was the chief advisor for the Prime Minister's office. He really helped Nepal. Now he's in jail. He's inside the jail now because of the political changes. And the Ghanshyamji, our real ambassador. We must thank Ghanshyamji because he is a key person doing all this export to Bangladesh. What I can see now is that they want to buy 9,000 megawatt from neighbor, but we haven't set any target to Bangladesh. We are talking 5,000 from our side. But Bangladesh wonder if 5,000 come to us, let's talk. So that also we are missing because Bangladesh is a very good market. Next, pumped storage, hydrogen, fuel cell, battery is big way coming. If we don't move fast in next 3 years, we set our goal. I think we'll be missing our opportunity. Now I take just half minute more. So we have to finalize our 5 years, 10 years, 15 years plan very strongly and monitor that one. And what I can see, CNI, the chairman here, one suggestion is that let's do some session in India and Bangladesh also, because I found they are really interested for the power to make profit. Thank you.
So any questions? We can take 2 questions very, very quickly. Any questions? Yeah, please. Anyone else would like to ask a question, please?
This is Praveen from Nepal Life. One of the suggestions for the life insurance sector is we're looking for investments, but I don't think the government needs to come up with certain hybrid instruments so that it becomes like a debt instrument at the beginning of the project and it converts into equity over a period of time. We have funds, we have long-term appetite for investing, but we don't have the instruments to go for it. So I think one of the suggestions is to come up with hybrid instruments. Second one is certain level of corporate governance and policy level reforms so that the public investments, that the funds we raise from the public are much more transparently invested in. 2 parts. Third one, what we are looking into is one of the questions that goes to the panel, I think anyone can take it up, is we are discussing about increasing the capacity. We are discussing about what we can produce. But one answer I didn't get from the entire session was what we are doing to ensure that the sources of these, the rivers, the glaciers that we have been discussing right from yesterday. So what the government is doing from its policy level to ensure that those things are protected so that whatever investments has been made or whatever will be made in future are protected. Thank you.
Right, thank you. Now, Mr. Bhattrai, you had a question? You had a question? Yeah, please, very quickly. So I think the two questions coming from floor is more of a suggestion. So if anyone wants to answer. So yeah, Mr. Bhattrai, you had a question? Oh, no, sir. Anyone has a question on the floor? Yeah. Mr. Paudel has a question. Yeah. Please very quickly and be very precise whom you want to ask the question.
Thank you so much. My name is Virat Paudel from Prime Powers. I want to ask ERC Chairman Ramprasad Ital sir. यो चाहिँ अहिले हाम्रो कार्की सरले नि भन्नुभयो कि चाहिँ वान स्टप सल्युसन चाहिएको छ भनेर यसमा चाहिँ गभर्नमेन्टलाई चाहिँ के कस्ता समस्याहरू के कस्ता च्यालेन्जेसहरू देखिएको छ जसले चाहिँ यो वान स्टप सल्युसन बनाउनलाई चाहिँ अलिकति ढिलासुस्ती या अलिकति रोकिएको देखिन्छ थ्यांक यू
Yeah, so I think the chair can cover this question in your concluding remarks. So I think we will end the session and over to you.
Thank you, everyone. Very good morning, distinguished panelists and participants. All of the issues related to electricity and also, the water sector has been covered by, speakers and panelists. So my job is basically, not to repeat the issue that has been identified, but as a regulator, some of the point, some of the, solutions I would like to, propose. In fact, Gadeshji mentioned about the resource required for, to achieve the government's ambitious target of 28,500, the installations. So for this, requiring close to, 50 billion within the next, 10 years time. So that means every year you need to spend about 5 billion, right? And then if you see the public sector, spending maybe from the government budget, 1 billion per year, the domestic financing, another 1 billion, the utility is now, mobilizing another 1 billion, so 3 billion, and we'll be requiring another, 2 billion. So this is a huge resource. We, one area or one, issue, I'm always often hearing is the capacity, the absorption capacity. This is one part. But, the favorable policy and regulatory regime, regulatory framework is the must. no one is interested in investing in the area where there is no kind of, predictability, no, no favorable policy and regulatory requirement. So, it's been a little more than 2 months since we assumed the role of, I assumed the role of chairman at the commission. We have, small team, but we've identified a few areas where we will be actually addressing some of the issues, identified by the panelists, by the, by the keynote speakers also. One is, we have a kind of market where the state-owned utilities buys power from its own subsidiaries, even though in the generations the private sector, including the government subsidiaries, contribution is about 80%. So the utility buys power from its own subsidiaries, buys power from the independent power producers, buys power from India. So in this context, how can we actually, as a regulator, can create a competitive environment for everybody to invest in the sector? So that's why we have actually identified in the transmission business, the government has developed the transmission master plan. Maybe we could develop a model, the cost recovery model, and then the private sectors are motivated, invited to invest in transmission business. Within the framework. The framework needs to be prepared or approved by the government. This is one. The second one is, the huge presence in generations, but the transmission network, they do not have access. So that's why we have to make sure that non-discriminatory access is provided to third party, basically the power producers and also the consumers, the big consumers. So there, the commission is now working closely with the government as well as the private investors and the utility in devising a model. Even though this also needs to link with the Electricity Act, but within the existing framework also, we are trying to actually make sure the third-party access in the grid. So this is this includes open access regulations and also the pricing, the transmission pricing. This is our topmost priority. The second one is basically related to the tariff. As Kumar sir was making his remarks, especially we have a kind of seasonal generations. We generate more during the rainy season, and we need to import from India during dry seasons. Because of our the modality, basically we have heavily invested or involved in the runoff river projects. So that's why we need to diversify our mix. How do we do this? We need to attract the private investment in storage projects. The gentleman from who I also did mention about the storage in the battery storage thing. So the second priority for the the commission is looking at devising or developing a model for hydro storage, the pump storage, and the battery storage, especially the tariff model. Another area where we also would like to work on, the gentleman from the floor was also asking kind of this one-stop solutions. Ganeshji also did mention. At this point of time, if we digitalize or if we if we introduce kind of digital decision-making process, there are many issues that can be easily addressed. So in the commission, our focus at the moment is to actually is to introduce a digital means for the applications, for project evaluations, and also project the decision-making process whole needs to be digitized. This is also another area. And the third one is everybody is now talking about the corporate governance. There are issues related to procurement and all those, the cost, everything. So in that front, our idea is to establish a kind of cost benchmark, for especially when it comes to implement the bigger projects. Even though we have for if you want to invest in a project bigger than 100 megawatt, the 17% ROE cap is there, but we have not been able to actually utilize it. So that's why we are now trying to establish the cost functions, and then we make sure that the investment is protected. We make sure that the ROE is the defined or the agreed ROE is ensured, but that needs to be linked with the tariff. So the cost reflective tariff will be our another area of interventions. Probably we also need to categorize the size, up to 10 megawatt or 20 megawatt or 50 megawatt. Maybe the posted rate will be continued. Of course, that also has to be decided based on the stakeholder engagement. Often we lack engaging people. We as a regulator, we think that we know everything and we issue a document and we want you to follow. So that's why that mentality also we need to change. So how do we do this? We invite experts come for the comments. We engage the investors, the power producers, the utility, and also the government. So this is our the priority. And the third one is basically related to kind of robust dispute resolutions mechanism also. I'm hearing 2 licenses because of the the coordinate overlap, the issues with the off-taker. I was just going through the paper prepared or written by Kumar sir, and his one of the issues is bankable PPA. You have one criteria for the state-owned utilities, subsidiaries, the terms and conditions. You have another. So how do we actually uniform, make sure that everybody is treated equally? So that kind of, approach we are now, taking. And at the same time, as I mentioned before also, the stakeholder engagement will be our top priority. And then we make sure that, your investment is protected. Utilities should not go bankrupt. And we make sure that consumers, rights interests are protected. And we, of course, have to follow the, guiding principle of government policies. So these are the 4, guiding principle for us to function. And then we make sure that, the private sector's investment or private sector's engagement, not only the generations, but also in the transmission business and also definitely the trade. So that has to be, motivated, that has to be ensured. And as the regulator, we are committed to actually partner with you, committed to listen to you, committed to actually, develop the sector together. With these words and commitment, should I conclude this session also, right? I conclude this session. Thank you very much once again for this opportunity.
Thank you very much to our chair. May I please invite the president of CNI, Mr. Rajesh Kumar Agrawal, to kindly join us onto the stage to present this token of appreciation to our chair, to our panelists, and to our moderator as well of the very first session here at Day 2 of Nepal Infrastructure Summit 2024, Energy and Water Resources. Thank you very much to Dr. Ram Prasad Dital. We'd like to request him to kindly step forward to accept this token of appreciation. Thank you very much, sir, for taking on the role of the chair in this session. We'd also like to request Mr. Kumar Pandey to kindly step forward and accept this token of appreciation on the first panel on energy and water resources. Thank you very much to Mr. Kumar Pandey. We'd also like to request Mr. Keshav Dosh Adhikari sir to kindly step forward and accept this token of appreciation from the organizer's side in sharing your invaluable insights here at the first session of the Day 2 of Nepal Infrastructure Summit. We'd also like to thank Mr. Chen Yong. Thank you very much, sir, for sharing your insights and experiences in this panel discussion. Thank you very much to Mr. Chen Yong. We'd also like to thank and invite Mr. Mark Tissot to kindly join us onto the stage and accept this token of appreciation. We'd also like to thank Ms. Sujata Gupta. Thank you very much, ma'am, for accepting our invitation and being a panelist in this particular session and sharing your experiences and insights as well. We'd also like to thank Mr. Ganesh Karki. We'd like to invite him to kindly accept this token of appreciation for being a panelist in the Energy and Water Resources panel. We'd also like to thank and invite Mr. Yongjin Hong to kindly step forward and accept this token of appreciation. And we'd also like to thank our moderator, Mr. Ashish Garg. Thank you very much to Mr. Garg for bringing together this panel, asking them the questions, and engaging the floor for some Q&A as well. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to request our panelists to kindly step forward for a group photograph. एउटा group photograph सँगै आजको यो पहिलो प्यानल सकिएको घोषणा पनि हामी गर्दैछौँ। यस पश्चात हामीले यहाँलाई दुईवटा भिडियो देखाउने छौँ। सेकेन्ड प्यानल पनि तुरुन्तै सुरु भइहाल्छ। सेकेन्ड प्यानल इज अल अबाउट construction industry perspective. That is the second panel discussion that we're about to have. A big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for our fantastic panelists who discussed on energy and water resources here at the second day of Nepal Infrastructure Summit. Thank you very much. Thank you, distinguished guests. Thank you, panelists. Ladies and gentlemen, we'd also like to show you two videos. Can we please have the video, please?
With over 6,000 rivers and streams, Nepal has an enormous potential for hydropower. From the mountaintop source of Tibet, the Trishuli River gathers force as it flows through the steep valleys of the Himalayas, entering Nepal in a swollen, crashing cascade. The 216 megawatts Upper Trishuli 1 hydropower project, also known as UT1, is located on the Trishuli River in the Bagmati province within the Rasua district, approximately 70 kilometers north of Kathmandu. UT1 sets the standards on international bankability, sustainability, climate finance, and gender inclusion. The UT1 project is developed by Nepal Water and Energy Development Company Private Limited, NWEDC, incorporated under the laws of Nepal. NWEDC is a special purpose vehicle owned by following shareholders: KOEN, Korea Southeast Power Company; KIND, Korea Overseas Infrastructure and Urban Development Corporation; IFC, World Bank Group, and local shareholders. There are several camps on the site designed to provide accommodation for project workers. The camps were built according to international standards. A diversion tunnel and a coffer dam are built to create a dry work environment to enable construction activities in the intake area. Is a temporary dam designed to redirect river water through the diversion tunnel. Its construction was completed in February 2023. The diversion tunnel is used to redirect the water back to the river. Its construction was completed in January 2023. The weir is part of the intake structure. It is a barrier constructed across the river to raise and maintain the water level on the upstream side and divert the water to the headrace tunnel, which channels the water from weir to the powerhouse. This helps to stabilize the power plant. The construction of the weir is progressing well. The construction of the desander is progressing well. All required measures are taken to ensure the safety of the workers building the tunnel. UT1 has an underground powerhouse structure. It houses the electromechanical equipment to generate electricity, turbines, and generators, among others. The tail race tunnel is the name of the tunnel designed to put the water from the powerhouse back into the river. Its construction is ongoing. The powerhouse generates low-voltage electricity of 11 kV. To minimize the losses during transmission, the voltage needs to be much higher, 220 kV. The substation has transformers that are designed to step up the voltage level before transmitting the electricity to the grid. The electricity is then delivered to NEA, Nepal Electricity Authority, through high-voltage transmission lines. Now that you have seen the construction areas, we will give you an overview of the environmental and social aspects. Hydropower projects inherently have environmental and social impacts. Using IFC's sustainability framework, the UT1 sets benchmarks for sustainable hydropower development with good international practices in environmental and social areas. With the support of IFC, it has identified various environmental and social risks and put in place appropriate mitigation measures. Trishuli River currently supports various projects, but it is considered to have an ecological integrity close to natural conditions and is designated as a natural habitat. UT1 is situated at a high elevation in the Trishuli River basin, where the high gradient and cold water temperatures limit fish biodiversity. UT1 has been constantly engaging with the local communities to ensure their support and the social license to build and operate the project. The project involved acquiring 107.79 hectares of land, with 78% owned by the government. It impacted 39 private owners. The land acquisition process and the livelihood restoration plan have been completed. Formal, free, prior, and informed consent FPIC documentation process with affected indigenous people was completed. PIC is a specific right granted to indigenous peoples recognized in the UN Declaration. In partnership with local communities, UT1 is implementing various environmental and social plans, including the following. The UT1 project endeavor is to ensure meaningful representation and active participation of women. Hydropower is a critical sector for Nepal's socio-economic development. Yet, within the hydropower sector, women are underrepresented and occupy only a small percentage of senior managerial roles. The UT1 project is very committed to gender inclusion. As part of its gender diversity efforts, it has joined IFC's Powered by Women initiative, launched in 2020.
A very good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you very much for joining us here at the second day of BYD Nepal Infrastructure Summit, built in trust with Shivam Cements. Thank you very much for being with us here. I am your host, Sadiksha Shrestha, and we're starting with our second session, which will be on construction industry perspective. But we also have a sponsor with us who are going to show a very insightful presentation on Shivam Cement, for which may I please invite onto the stage Mr. Nikhil Agrawal, Vice President Sales and Marketing from Shivam Cement.
Hello. Good morning, everyone. This is Nikhil Agrawal from Shivam Cements. I am Vice President, Operations and Sales and Marketing. I welcome all the delegates, and I'm thankful to CNI for hosting the event and giving us the opportunity to stand here and present ourselves in front of you. I'll start with a brief overview of our company. I think the pointer is not working. Shivam Cement was established in the year 2003, as we've mentioned in our logo, and we are the first greenfield plant to operate with clinker facilities in Nepal. We are located at a very central location of Nepal, which is Hetaura, the most central location, and which caters to most of the infrastructure development areas of Nepal. This is what our plant looks like on a very beautiful sunny day. We are one of the largest greenfield manufacturing projects in Nepal with a capacity of 3,000 tons of cement per day. And our plant has a capacity to produce 60,000 bags of OPC cement and OPC 43 and 53 gauge cement in Nepal. We are very proud to state that we are the only company in private sector to manufacture only OPC cement. We've been manufacturing only OPC 43 and OPC 53 grade cement, and we do not manufacture any other category of cement. We are also the first company in Nepal to introduce the new system of bulk loading, which is a boon to environment, where the bags are not being used and plastic is minimized, and the cement is transported via bulkers to various construction sites. Every company operates with a vision and mission. We have a simple vision to be the largest and the most respected cement company in Nepal that partners with nations building. And we want to establish ourselves as a leader in the industry, providing outstanding values to our customers, provide a safe and stimulating work environment to our employees and community, and to provide superior returns to the nation as a whole. Before Shivam Cement was established in Nepal, the dependency of Nepalese construction was majorly on Indian cements. After the launch of Shivam Cement, a lot of Nepalese industry has also come to the market, and we are able to subsidize Indian cement from Nepalese market, which also makes Nepal as a self-sufficient country in manufacturing of cement in Nepal. A lot of company will be talking about a lot of things. I'll make this presentation a little quick and short because we are already late since the last session was a little long. Shivam Cement truly cares about our customer, and that is why we are classified as the best OPC cement in our category. We have our self-owned limestones. We own 9 limestone quarries all over Nepal, and we've been making our clinker from our own limestones. High quality raw material leads to a good quality product, because whatever kind of quality whatever limestone we process, similar is the outcome of clinker, and whatever clinker is grinded, similar will be the quality of cement. We are one of the biggest cement plant in Nepal. We are equipped with German technology majorly, where we also have European and French technologies, but we are basically dependent on German technology, which is a world-class acclaimed technology. Any big name globally, you listen, it will be backed up with the German technology. We are the first company in Nepal to offer premium services like free technical services. If any one of you have constructed your private residence or project and you want a free consultation where you are using any brand of cement, we have a technical van and we have a team of engineers. They go to your site, they teach you about good construction practice of no matter whatever product you're using. We are the first company to do that in Nepal. And combination all of these makes us the high quality 43 and 53 grade OPC cement. I see a lot of smiling faces and a lot of good customers of Shivam Cement in this room. I hope we get your love and support as always. Moving further, we are the first company in Nepal again to be awarded with NS 572, which enabled us to manufacture 43 and 53 labeled bags. Before that, we did not have cement labeled bags, and we had just NS 49, against which there was no labeling in bag and there was no grading in bag. So Shivam Cement was the first company to get that. And besides that, we are awarded with BSI, which enables us, we are as good as any Indian quality cement, and various NS and ISO certificates. One of our mines look like this, and those stones in this area those are the stones which we process to make clinker. Limestone deposits have high percentage of lime and very low levels of magnesium oxides, which helps us make low alkali cement. A lot of construction companies these days have sulfate requirements and alkali requirements. Our own limestone quarries and the percentage of magnesium in that quarries help us make low alkali cement, which is one of the rarest kind of cement available. Similarly, as I said about technology, we have ThyssenKrupp, we have Humboldt, we have FLS Smith, we have ABB, Thermo Fisher, Malvern, DHHI, and our entire plant is operated with a computer system where you do not see a traditional plant where people are running with hammers and shovels. Our achievements and milestones which Shivam Cement achieved in past 13 years of operation. We became Nepal's highest OPC selling brand in the year 2014, where we started in the year 2011. Similarly, we are the first company to receive BIS award, which enabled us to export cement to India. We are the first company in Nepal in cement segment to be listed in Nepalese Stock Exchange. Shivam Cement is the only company, we've always been talking about our quality and our good products, and this was the proof of it, that we are the only company till date that has been awarded by Nepal Standards Quality Award in the year 2019 first. And till date, after that, before this, no one has received this award, and after that also no one has received this award. And I wish and I have a hope that we'll be the second company again to get the same award. We are one of the countries, we've been talking about energy and sustainable energy. We are one of the companies which has received an award for energy and environment efficiency in the year 2019. We are the first company in Nepal to have a mobile app where you can order a bag of cement to your doorstep using your Shivam's app. We are again the first company in Nepal to be awarded with NS 572, enabling the market to provide cement worth 43 and 53 grade separately labeled. This was again a validation from Nepal standards that we are the best quality cement. Similarly, we've received an award recently, the best managed company of the year 2022 by New Business Conclave Awards in 2022. Every company has been talking about good construction practices, but a lot of companies fail to teach our consumers what are good construction practices and how a product should be used. Cement, there's a controversy, like if there's a problem in site, it's because of cement. But we fail to understand that cement is just a glue. It binds the aggregate with the rebar to perform the result. And if the binding is not good, the result will not come out. So with this concept, we came out with an idea that we should teach our consumers who do not want to take the advice of engineers and consultants and architects, that what are the good ways of using and what are the correct ways of using any product. So we made a video library, which is in our website. It is named Shivam Sandesh, where right from identifying the land to excavating the land, and from there how to construct, what are the parameters to be taken up, what are the measures that you should consider while making a construction. All the videos are briefly placed. And I believe a lot of consumers have come up to us and had been thankful that whatever they've been doing, they have known what is correct, as every individual has their own perspective of construction. So this video we've summarized with the help of architects and engineers from various universities of Nepal, and we've placed this in our YouTube channel. I would request all the delegates to please have a look and please give your feedbacks. Similarly, we are the company, we were awarded with Organizational Sales Excellence Award in the year 2023. We acclaimed to be the highest selling OPC cement brand in Nepal with the sales of 13 crores 31 lakh OPC bags by the year 2081. It's only in the OPC segment. We do not manufacture any other kind of cement besides OPC 43 and OPC 53. As I mentioned earlier, we have a technical van that looks like this, where a team of engineers are appointed, and we have a toll-free number where any individual using any brand of cement can call them and ask for a technical advice and ask for a feedback that the way of construction or the module of construction that they've adopted at their site, is that correct or not. This is a free service. This service was implemented in the year 2014 with a vision to implement good construction practice and teach our consumers a good way of using cement so that we have a better construction all around Nepal. With this, I rest my presentation. Thank you. Thank you everyone for giving me time and opportunity to present here.
Thank you very much.
I hope this summit gets the success with the vision it is planned to. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Agrawal, for this presentation that highlighted some incredible work that Shivam has been doing. And Shivam also has some interesting questions on the NIS app. So if you haven't already downloaded the app, please do make sure that you download the app and participate in this quiz or this question that Shivam has in the app. You might just be the lucky person to win a gift hamper from Shivam at the end of this session as well. Ladies and gentlemen, now we move towards our second parallel session, which is on construction industry perspective, for which may I please invite onto the stage Mr. Keshav Kumar Sharma, Secretary, Ministry of Physical Infrastructure and Transport, Government of Nepal, to chair this particular session. उहाँलाई जोरदार तालीले मञ्चमा स्वागत गरिदिनुको लागि यहाँहरु सम्पूर्णलाई म हार्दिक अनुरोध गर्दछु. We'd also like to invite Dr. Suryaraj Acharya, infrastructure expert, as a keynote speaker on this panel as well. We'd also like to invite Mr. Vinayak Pai, MD and CEO of Tata Projects Limited India, as a keynote speaker in this panel as well. We'd also like to invite Mr. Manmohan Prakash, former Senior Advisor, Office of the President, ADB. Thank you very much, sir, for your presence and participation in this session. We'd also like to invite Mr. Nicholas Pandey, Founding President, Youth Community for Nepalese Contractors, to kindly join us in this session as well as a panelist. We'd also like to invite Engineer Thakur Prasad Sharma, President, Society of Consulting Architectural Engineering Firms. Thank you very much, sir, for your presence in this particular panel. We'd also like to invite Ms. Abhigya Malla, Executive Director, High Himalaya Hydro Construction Private Limited, as a panelist to this session. We are incredibly excited to hear your insights as well. And to moderate and bring this entire session together, may I please invite Dr. Rajendra Prasad Adhikari, infrastructure expert, to join us on board and take in charge of this particular session as the moderator. Quite a challenge, because our moderator now has barely an hour to hear from the experts and to manage time right before lunch. So without any further delay, I'd like to hand over this session to our moderator.
Only 1 hour for us? So, with the kind permission of Honorable Chair, Secretary Mr. Keshav Sharma, I will start the session. So, there is no time for any delay. So I directly invite Mr. Binayak Pai for his keynote speech, please. You will be having 10 minutes.
Hello. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm very glad to be here today. I think it's very exciting to talk about a topic which is of national importance and also very relevant to all of us. I think as far as the construction industry perspective is concerned, the problems are similar. Every country faces the same problem. I would classify them into, looking at the data, what we have. In India, there is a central statistic organization which lists the top projects. And almost 60% of the projects which are listed are delayed. The average delay is around, more than a year. And the cost overruns on the project are more than 20% on an average. And this is not only the status in India. Most of the countries, if you go to and look at the statistics, you will see a worrying trend of significant delays on projects, cost overruns, which is impacting the industry. And this is, as I said, a global phenomenon. And there is a book which was released last year, which I found very insightful, called How Big Things Get Done. And it lists the issues which hamper projects and lead to delays and lead to issues on projects. And I think the central theme of that is that we don't take enough time in planning projects upfront. And that leads to significant amount of problems throughout the life cycle of the projects. In the energy industry, where the record of delivering projects, especially on the oil, gas, and hydrocarbon industry, globally has probably the best record of delivering safe projects, delivering on time, and delivering on cost. In that industry, which I had the pleasure of working for a long time, almost the first 6 to 8 months is taken in doing the front-end planning and doing something which they call the front-end engineering design. And that's where a significant amount of work gets done in terms of actually getting a 3D model of the plant established to a level of at least 30% completeness. The planning is done to almost, individual, if you use the Primavera, for example, level 2, level 3 schedules are already developed during that time period. So when we get into the projects, we are very highly prepared, and we have a narrow band of, the price escalations which are allowed. I think in most infrastructure projects, this is the critical step which is missed. The DPRs are done at a rapid pace, at a fraction of the cost. And then, when actually the project starts, we end up into significant issues. And then throughout the project, then the cash flow issues come in, and with that, the whole cycle of the project going downwards starts. So I would encourage us, as part of the industry and part of construction, to challenge some of the paradigms which we have been doing always and thinking that it's the only way of doing it. For example, we all believe that going into construction early is the best way to do. You start the project and you start digging ground and you start constructing. It's actually, again, very counterintuitive, but that's not the right way of doing. Again, as I said, plan much ahead, and then ensure that when you actually get into construction, the amount of resources which we have in terms of drawings, in terms of material, is adequate to do work at a fast pace. And then we will get higher productivity. This is where, where the labor productivity is a big issue because of the very high cost of labor in the US. This is what is followed. That as late as possible rather than as early as possible, but with the full preparation so that once you go, there are no hindrances, there are no stoppages. So I think these are some of the concepts we need to think of. So this is about the process. Next, I would like to say about the people part of it. I think, again, in Nepal, like in India and like in most part of the world, the ability of this industry to attract people is limited. People, especially the labor force is significantly short. So we have to find out how we can invest in skill development quite a lot. I mean, we have been running a program where for the labor who are at site, who are semi-skilled, we give them training at the end of the day. And at the end of 6 to 9 months, they get a certificate of competence for a skill, which is either a carpenter, barbender, or a mason. So you actually use your construction sites as a training ground. So the other is use of technology. There is a huge opportunity to use technology, may it be the design part of the technology, the 3D designs early on, but also a lot of technologies which are available for integrating a full project delivery stack and having the planning integrated with the 3D designs. That is something which again brings a lot of resilience to the project, but also helps attracting youngsters into the industry. In many of our projects, we actually have most of the work planning done on iPads on the ground in the field. And the work permits are signed off or approved digitally on the field. When you start doing that, it becomes a way of attracting more people because today youngsters want to use technology. So I think we need to think long and hard about that. And I would only end because we are short of time. The last thing I wanted to point out is that, one of the projects which was done most predictably in terms of especially time and cost was built over a century ago, which was the Empire State Building in New York. It was at that time the tallest building in the world, 102 stories. It also went through a change in between the project because they wanted to add that spire because another building was coming and that would have become the longest. So they had a design change in between. And that building was built in 13 months flat. So if you can imagine in 1929, in the middle of the Great Depression, if that could have been done, and the concept was that, and this is very important, that the architect, the designers, and the constructors all got on the table on day one. They didn't have the architects doing the architecture first, then the designers having their own mind of how to do, and the constructor coming last, by which time, the designs have been done which are not constructible. So I think that's the other thing we need to do to find all ecosystem partners on the same page on day one. And then we will find that, we can do amazing things at site. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your very brave, concise, and insightful presentation. So I would like to move forward and request Dr. Surya Raj Acharya for his keynote address. And begging pardon, I would like to request you to make your presentation also within 10 minutes, sir. Please.
Distinguished speakers, ladies and gentlemen. I'll speak on construction industry, especially focusing on the issues of Nepal. Let me start with, the role of construction industry in economics overall in the macroeconomic level and specifically in the infrastructure project implementation. About 6 to 12% the construction industry contribute to value adding. So this is not a gross contribution. It's a value adding only taking out the intermediate input like the semi-twine outer input. The gross contribution is around 40 to 70% in developing country. So that's a share in gross fixed capital formation. So that is a very much important element of the indicators when it comes to developing country. And we can see here, the Japan and Korea at the developing stage, it was well over 8%. And it's still now rapidly growing countries such as Indonesia, Bangladesh, Rwanda, even India. It's maintaining that, but Nepal is dropping down around 5%. So that is something to be concerned from the policy perspective. Okay, my motivation for this talk is construction industries is important for the economy growth and that, but it's more important for the infrastructure's implementation and overall infrastructure development. And to connect it, let's make it start. What are the infrastructure's development issues in Nepal? Though yesterday our honorable ministers also put it. Our project implementation it's full of the problem. We have a very bad press when it comes to about infrastructure projects. On the other hand, our honorable Prime Minister even, this underscores the importance of the infrastructures. But our society as a whole is very skeptic on, can we really, Nepal, manage very ambitious infrastructure project? This is the situation. There are a lot of problems. Who is responsible for it? So if you go by the press, perhaps the first blame, perhaps disproportionately, is taken from the contractors. I would say the poor contractor, because they are in the very visible line. Then the consultant, not very much, and the government agencies, very much criticized. This is not the story. If we continue just reacting to the symptoms, it leads to nowhere. We need to go somewhere deep down. What are the underlying structures that is producing problem? Is it because of the operation problem or the structural problem? So we often, our policy deliberation, policy formulation, I'm very sorry to make this note. As a student of infrastructure development, we are not going to that depend. In all this forum, we are ending up our deliberation in a very superficially. So I'll try to dig out some of the issue. Okay, first, what's this infrastructure development is about? It's about political visioning. It's about smartly leveraging financing and funding, not just sloganing about a PPP and that. It leads us nowhere. Let's not make mistakes. In a developing country, not many projects are commercially viable and attractive for the private sector at this stage. And even in this, where there is a viability, there is a big story when it comes about PPP. We cannot, our government machinery cannot manage very conventional public procurement contract. Can you imagine what the contract on this transport sector and the PPP involved? Do our government system can manage those risks and all the transaction cost? This kind of discussion I never see in our law, in our policy papers. So my point here is, perhaps we are focusing in the wrong places. The most important element, central element to address our problem in the infrastructure is construction industry. So the construction industry, not only contractors, we need to look at this whole ecosystem of construction industry. That includes construction firm, engineering consultant firms, this material supplies. In this seminar, perhaps I don't see the presence of the supplies of our poor people, this Gitti, Balua, and Dunga. This is the construction material where we have a very big potential of these aggregates and stone. Like earlier presentation is this. We have a world-class this limestone and the cement industry. What that industry is doing by their own effort, I congratulate them. But look at what is happening to our other aggregate sand and stones. This story, our government policy criminalizes it. The entrepreneurs who are industrialists and doing a big effort, they are socially rejected. They hesitate to introduce themselves. I run a crusher industry. Whereas this is a very important input industry for our construction industry, we are missing. So we need to look at, we need to have a shift in our narration building. So why I'm emphasizing it is, construction is not simply important for the smooth implementation of project. It's important in leveraging in other components also. For instance, if we have a very strong, well-developed construction domestic industries, our Prime Minister has a luxury to have a very ambitious project because we can do ourselves. If we can manage construction by ourselves, we have a much leverage in leveraging this financing and funding. Can you imagine China could have a 43,000 of the high-speed rail within the span of 15 years if they had to rely on the Japanese or German or the French high-speed rail company. Never. They are smart. What they did, I was a witness in some event. In 90s, Chinese engineers, Chinese politicians, planner, they put a lot of effort how they can develop high-speed rail technology first, and then start putting the money. It was possible for a student of this infrastructure project, when they have an ambition for this thousands of kilometers, where Japan is not at 3,000 kilometers. So this is the departures we need, and we need to look at importance of construction industry, not just a completing narrow web of a single project. We need to look at how it provide a more flexibility in political level, imagining the projects, how it help us in terms of materializing this, maximizing what we call multiplier effect. You say, when your spending investment on infrastructures is going out to foreign funds, your Keynesian effect, so-called this economist people say it's very minimum. So we need to look at the very broad aspect, and most important is the final point. It helps to be dependent on the foreign funds. So what happened? Yesterday, our honorable ministers mentioned a few projects. Interestingly, it's supported by all the donor agency, very competent, World Bank and ADB. And all the consultant and contractors are, usually our donor agency insists on that. Our firm has no capacity. You have to engage in the foreign firms. And ironically, those are the projects which are delayed, and our honorable minister in such a last meeting had to mention those projects. They are problematic. So we need to revisit it. I'm not blaming here the foreign firm or the donor agency. But perhaps the kind of the things, how we want to materialize the infrastructure development is perhaps in the policy and strategic level, we need to rethink. Our next is, what is the past? I mentioned already, we're not doing a justice. Our government policy is not doing a justice to this important industry. And if I look at this very briefly, by the way, this my paper is also in the paper, last paper in this CNI report, the last paper you can see. So my review is so that, interestingly, of course, as of now, our domestic industry has a weak capacity. And some of these project implementation projects that link to the weak capacity, we have to admit it. However, why it is happening? Because government is totally indifferent. Perhaps you see, I could not find in any governments of Nepal
few minutes for you to conclude.
Policy document, the mentioning the term infrastructures, construction industry. Our government policy does not recognize construction industry as such. So that is the fundamental structural problem, and also our donors, partners also, development partners also look at the problem in a very narrow perspective, and it is not much sympathizing in translating project implementation in capacity building of a construction industry. So international, if you look at the international experience, most of the countries, particularly East Asian successful this story on infrastructure development and economic development, one of the central elements is the government deliberate policy effort to promote and to protect construction industries. We are considering it's an infant industry, what we call, which is lacking in our country here in Nepal. And very briefly, I understand the time. Let me have 1 or 2 minutes extra. The how, let me see, how this successful country are very sensitive and very thoughtful on construction industry as a technical capacity. This is the example of Japan, not current Japan. It was 150 years before Japan. When Japan built first railway line, they had zero technical capacity. Not only that, none of the Japanese had a train riding experience and even not seen it. But they started this project with a 12% loan, 12% interest loan from Britain, 100% British input, but they were able to develop 100% capacity civil construction in 10 years' time, Another 10 years, they started producing locomotive. Okay, we can say we are not Japan, but it was 150 years back Japan, not now Japan. Another inspiring story is Korea, Seoul-Busan Highway. I have shared this story in many public forums. 428 kilometers, expressway 4-lane, and it was completed in 29 months, whereas World Bank exited because of that, thought that, okay, the Japanese firm, Korean firm were not capable enough to build it. And there was a conflict. And the Korean government decided to take it on its own, and they did it. And the result is, after completing this project, Korean consultant and contractors elevated to international level, and they got it. There's many contracts in the Middle East. So this is the learning by doing. Finally, I'll take one more minute. Finally, if we look at infrastructure development, we are focusing on the wrong problem. We are trying to answer wrong questions. That is, we are focusing on the funding and financing gap. This is not a primary gap. Primary gap is capacity gap of construction industry. First, fill up that gap. Then it will be easier to fill up funding or financing gap, number one. And this capacity building should start from the factors level, engineers, technicians, managers, materials, and all this. That is happening. We have 1,000 of civil engineers now unemployed. And that factor level capacity need to be translated into firm level capacity, contractor capacity, consultant capacity, our industry capacity, crusher industry capacity there. And then finally, it should be reflect on overall industry level capacity in the ecosystem of the construction industries. So that is not happening. So this should be the policy narrative, strategic path, if we want to really address the problem in the infrastructure investment. Thank you very much. I'm sorry I overrun sometimes 3 or 4 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Really, it was a pleasure for you to come to the conclusion, because you highlighted very pertinent and serious issues that need to identify and think about the problems lying within the construction industry. And not only it has to be just think in isolated ways. Some construction industry ecosystem has to be built up, and it has to be taken into consideration in that regard. So this is a very good message. Thank you, sir. Now, I would like to move to the special remarks, and as far as possible, just try to make it short. Mr. Manmohan Prakash, please.
Thank you very much. I don't think I'll be as passionate as the previous speaker, but I must say, Nepal is a wonderful place. And personally for me, it's a very special place. Having been born in Uttarakhand, I was really delighted when Dr. Bindu Lohani invited me to this very, very special occasion. And I would like to thank CNI for really organizing this. And I must also admit, then when Dr. Lohani asked me to speak on this construction industry, I thought it's an interesting topic and I must give you some different perspective. So I think over the next 5, 7, 8 minutes, I will really want to get a different perspective from my side as well as from you. So if you really look at the vision for Nepal, how many of you would want Nepal to be $1 trillion economy by 2050? Can you raise hands? Only few. Only few. Oh, not everybody. Everybody should, right? And that's the presentation that I'm going to give you, that how you can make Nepal a $1 trillion economy by the year 2050. You are really at 40 billion right now. It is a phased approach that I'm going to show you. By 2030, 100 billion. By 2035, it is 300 billion and 1 trillion by 2050. And that is something, an aspiration for all of us. Now, if you really look at this slide, it is really a textbook example. We talk about Japan, we talk about Korea, we talk about some of these economies which have really developed fast, and these are the 5 things that have really worked. The first is the economic planning. Now, economic planning, if you really look at it, it's quite simple. It is something that's led by the government, and in case of Nepal, it's really the industrialization and modernization that can make it happen. The second thing is on the infrastructure development, and I don't need to emphasize this again, because this is something that will really drive the economic growth. The exports for Nepal. Now, when I look at the economic distribution for Nepal, I think export needs to be a very key driver, and that will be the growth engine for the country. Education and skills development, I think the previous speaker mentioned about that. Education and skills development is an important aspect that can really help you achieve this. And of course, the technological advancement. The big question is, who can help us do this, and how can we do it? Any guesses? Does anybody have any guess about it? It's a session on construction industry, isn't it? So this is the one. So they are the nation builders. It is the oldest form of profession. It is the oldest kind of technology. Whether it was Stone Age, whether it was the Industrial Age, or it is the Tech Age, it is really these construction engineers, the construction workers, and the builders who build nations. Whether it is Japan, whether it is Korea, whether it is US, whether it is Europe, it's any country, Singapore, Hong Kong, and it is really, really the construction industry. When you grow up as a child, you want to go to a good school with a good building, you want to stay in a good home, you want to go to the best workplace, everything is related to construction. Yes or no? Everybody agrees? So I think then we are all together, and I think here we really need to celebrate these construction workers and the construction industry. They have done a lot, and they will be the ones who will take us to this $1 trillion economy. Now, if you really look at this Nepal's example, the construction industry has a huge role to play. And as noted by the previous speaker, I think the first part is that the government really needs to come up with policies, proactive policies, that can help the construction growth. And that construction growth includes financial incentives and subsidies that will be needed for these construction projects. The second aspect is the government investment. If you look at Korea, look at Japan, look at any of, even China, it is the government investment in infrastructure that is driving this economic growth. The roads, the bridges, the railways, the urban development, everything is all about construction. Urbanization is happening. More and more people will live in urban areas. 60 to 70% of people will be moving to the urban cities. This is something, again, where you will see a lot of opportunities for the construction companies, construction workers, and of course the industry. Public works project, I think they are one big source of development for any country. Yesterday we heard that the US also invested heavily in public infrastructure. The Great Depression, when it happened, again, countries invested in the public infrastructure. Whenever there is an economic downturn, the way to go and create more economic opportunities is through these public works. And last but not the least, the new technologies that are evolving will help us do things much better, much faster, much quicker. It used to take us to build homes in 1 to 2 years. Today you can build a 40-story building in 45 days. That's the technology, that's the innovation that needs to be adopted. And how do you do that? You have to do that by partnering with private sector, public sector, and the tech sectors. And that's what I'm basically going to show you in the next couple of slides. Now, from the public sector side, the government has a role, but its role must be significant, well-directed, and it must lead to an enabling environment. So the policy and regulatory support is critically important. We must have credible and favorable regulatory framework that encourages investments and innovation. We really need to drive the infrastructure development, particularly like the roads, railways, electricity, and water supply, and we must complete these projects on time with full efficiency. The funding and subsidies are very important. Many of the social projects will not be able to recover their funds. So we really need to get this right for us to get construction industry work to its full capacity. Now, Nepal is very disaster prone. So building infrastructure that is green, disaster friendly, sustainable is critically important. And last but not the least, government support is also required in ensuring a credible governance and transparency framework. Private sector, this is the key driver. And actually, if you really look at the private sector's role, they are a catalyst for economic growth. Their investment in infrastructure, they could support the government's investment, but they could also bring new capital. In fact, the various kind of innovative financing modalities that are now available to us, they can all lead to investment sizes which are unprecedented. Whether it is Singapore, whether it is Hong Kong, the land revenue models have been brought into the construction sector. So this investment in infrastructure is a key area for private sector to participate in. Of course, public-private partnerships is just one of the vehicles. Innovation and efficiency, wherever private sector is involved, we get much better value for time, much better value for money. We always get much more efficiency. And similarly, I think skills development, private sector can play a huge role in getting things done much faster and much better. Moving on to the tech sector, and I think this is the most exciting thing that is really happening around the world. Digital transformation, it can really help do things much faster. I think you have heard about this building information modeling. I met somebody outside getting BIM for design, planning, project management, or increasing the efficiency is something that's off the shelf and should be integrated. Automation and robotics is something very simple, but it can replace the repetitive tasks that are being done. Smart building technologies are available in plenty, and I will probably talk a little bit about them. These should be integrated. This should help us also in managing some of the things. And supply chain optimization is critically important for completing projects on time, in cost, and with value. So let's see some of this list is not exhaustive. This is just a very simple list to explain to you that the technologies of today can make Nepal a fully developed economy in the next 15 to 20 years. You look at the prefabricated and modular constructions. As I said, you can build homes in 45 days to 60 days. In fact, Tata has come up with this nest in India where they can really build a 3-story, 4-story homes for you in 2 months. It's using steel, it's using prefab. These kind of technologies, hollow blocks, we use them also in Philippines. They can really help you build homes that will last you 50 years, will be half the price, more safer, energy efficient, and cost effective. Geosynthetics, I think Nepal needs to use that because you do have—
Sir, request you to be precise, please.
2 minutes. Yeah, and the earthquake as resistant design also I have is there. The green building technologies is something that will really help. And of course, the drones you can use for having the surveying and the planning. Now, AI, I have always said, is going to be more and more important. And if you really look at the AI side of it, it can help you in the predictive analysis. It can also help you in the maintenance optimization and getting the things very quickly done on a smart way. So let me just conclude by saying that Nepal can become a $1 trillion economy, and for that, what you really need is to do the things much faster, much quicker, and work between the public sector, private sector, and tech sectors much more closely. And this vision, this dream can be fulfilled. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. This is very much a thought-provoking presentation, and it's very much inspiring that encouraged us to be a $1 trillion economy by 2050 country. So it is really very encouraging and inspiring statement. And the other part that you highlighted is the public, private, and tech sector collaboration. So this part is also critically and very important for us in this digital age, probably in the context of IR4 and IR5. So this is what now that we all involved in the construction industry need to think over regarding our use of technology and again the understanding of technological aspects. So thanking all the eminent speakers for their very good construction industry ecosystem setting, considering this construction industry perspective session. Now I would like to start the panel discussion sessions that will again help highlighting the construction industry problems, constraints, as well as the opportunities that are available in the country. So with this, first I will like to start with Mr. Nicholas Pandey. Just to ease you for your presentation, I have small questions. That considering your in-depth understanding of domestic and international construction market and experience of leading up one of the large construction company in the country, what is your overall observation of the construction industry in terms of opportunities and constraints, please?
Thank you, Dr. Adhikari. When someone asks me this question, I actually get more confused than, because like we have a haystack full of problems, and it's very difficult to pinpoint only few. Having said that, I would like to stick to the issues that was raised here today. Dr. Acharya said something about cost overrun, cost and time overrun, poor quality of works, and construction disputes. I believe these are the three core problems of Nepal at the moment, and I believe that it used to be once in India, not very long time ago. So, quite frankly, I being the only national contractor on stage, we are definitely the face of the construction industry, and when someone becomes angry, agitated, they punch people on the face. So we are the ones who get the punching, but definitely we are just a part of the problem and not the whole problem. Which is why I would like to point a few things that I've experienced here in Nepal. I mean, of all the problems, there were a few issues raised here, and I believe one gentleman said something about the river quarry materials. Actually, Nepal has an abundant amount of river quarry materials, which is, I would say, more than 80% of what we use in the construction industry. But unfortunately, I believe it was Dr. Acharya who said this, unfortunately, it has been politicized, and no modern young generation of entrepreneurs want to participate in that industry because it is highly politicized. There are no clear policies regarding the extraction of river quarry materials, which is why there are many loopholes in it. It is not transparent, hence it is considered to be not a good industry to partake in. But as of me, as an individual, I would like to say that just like the Middle East, they have abundant amount of natural oil resources. We have abundant amount of natural construction resources, and we should exploit it. If we want to be a trillion dollar company, trillion dollar economy, just like what Mr. Manmohan Prakash said, we could as well sell it, export it to India and Bangladesh, which has got a lot of appetite for these kind of materials. I think I will rest my words here because I have plenty and we don't have time.
Okay, thank you very much for setting construction industry potential and opportunities that is having with Nepal. So I think because of the time sort of constraints, and I also have to allocate time for my chairperson's concluding remarks. So I will skip some questions. Now I will come to the to Abhikya Malda for her opinion on that from your experience in hydropower financing and development, what are the potential and prospects of hydropower development, considering the market and consumption pattern in the country and the region as well? So you can have about four minutes for this.
Okay, thank you for the question. It's refreshing to see a different kind of question because it's about potential now, because I think we have talked enough on the constraint part. So because I'm from a hydropower background, I'll be talking mostly from a hydropower perspective. So because of our natural geographical terrain and significant high flow river rates, we have huge potential, and we are always talking about our theoretical potential being above 80,000 megawatt, and also I think the old techno feasibility being more than 40,000 megawatt, but we are just operating at approximately 3,500 megawatt and still exporting. So we have a long way to go, and we have huge potential, and we have realized it. But however, we want international cooperation as well, because when it comes to investing, we need to be robust in our financial modeling, and also in days to come, we have to make a different type of projects. So mostly we have run-of-river type of projects at the moment, and medium to small-scale projects. So in the future, we definitely need peaking run-of-river projects, storage, reservoir projects. So all these projects need a huge investment, and also not only in the construction part, but also in the development and consultation part. And financing will be a major constraint for sure in that. And another thing is regional cooperation is definitely important, because we don't have a capacity to consume the demand, all our demand. So we need to definitely export. For that, we also need to enhance our grid stability. That is another thing, and infrastructure for the same is very much important. Talking about our potential to progress, I feel digitally also we need to move forward, because hydropower is already robust. There's only little changes that are happening in the construction part, but when it comes to adding technology, I think we can definitely enhance our time. And also the need for energy cooperation and security is more important all around the world. So I think our time is now. And we definitely need to join hands together, because in days to come, we have a financing problem definitely down the line. However, till now, Nepalese banking sector, as well as developers and contractors, are fully equipped for projects around 50 megawatt, but more than that, we definitely need a collaboration. So another thing we have to look after is, since we are dealing with the nature, Nepal is prone to multi-hazard risk. So we're prone to landslide, gulf issues. That is also happening in parts of India lately, we see. So we need to address those concerns and work together, because we have a lot to learn so that we avoid such casualties. And also, for us, I think the challenge is to make a favorable business environment so that there is free flow investment, and we encourage a collaborative synergy effect from our neighboring countries as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Abhigyaji, for a nice presentation. Because of the time constraint, that I have to beg pardon from you also that we could not come to the floor, I think, because time is very short. We thought that 1.5 hours will be available for us, but I will go to. But we were only given 1 hour, so we have to shorten all other speakers' time also. And please forgive me for that. Now I come to Mr. Thakur Prasad Sharma, being SCAF president, that as a knowledge providers for construction industry, and you have just observe various other issues related to construction project from planning to project formulation to project execution, implementation, and the project finish as well. So in this regard, what way forwards that you can propose for fostering conducive business environment in the country, definitely taking into consideration that by enhancing, strengthening construction industry, that Nepal could be $1 trillion economy by 2050.
Thank you, Dr. Rajendra. I'd like to first thank CNI for giving this opportunity. In generally, what we see in most of the forum that consultants are not in the dais, so it's a good practice that CNI has brought. Thank you once again. SCAF Nepal is a member association from Nepal to FIDIC International. So at FIDIC, we always talk about 3C, that is client, consultant, and contractor. I'm happy to see all 3C in the dais. The chair himself is a client, Mr. Nicholas Pandey from consultant, and myself from contractor, and myself as a consultant. So we have a good representation out here, but because of time, we couldn't discuss more on that. So coming back to the role of consultant, I think both the keynote speakers and the special remark from Mr. Manmohan, the knowledge is the one where everyone has to, like whatever discussion we make, wherever we make, it's the knowledge. Where the knowledge should be there, it's the consultant where the knowledge should be there. It starts from there. So like Mr. Pai mentioned about, the planning. The planning is a project, he gave an example of Empire Tower where all the 3 C's were there on day one. So that made the things possible. Another he highlighted is that whatever we do in maybe least developed country or developing country is we make DPR at very rapid, and that is the case in Nepal also, very rapid time and with minimum cost. So we don't allocate the actual cost for the DPR. So that's the case out here in Nepal also. We do also face those kind of problems. And the consulting industry is very less. Another, Dr. Surya Acharya, I think he rightly pointed it about the overall environment of construction industry. He gave a good definition on construction industry. What is the construction industry? Who are the players of the construction industry? How to leverage their existing capacities to the next level so that we can address whatever trillion billion economy that we intend to go is. So another point I would like to highlight is that we need to maximize the local inputs, local industry. It could be a construction, it could be consulting. Like consulting, I think early 70s we started consulting business with international input. Till now we are having a lot of international inputs in number of projects, especially if you talk about hydropower, though there are a lot of people in the hydropower sector. In other sectors also, like transport, urban, or other sectors, domestic consultants are capable enough. If given the opportunity, I think domestic consultant can lead, being a leader of the joint venture, where international consultant can be partner for that. So we'd request, the policy level, this intervention so that local consultant are given much of the priority. I think we talked about how to leverage the industry with innovation and technology. There was slightly talk, I think you talked about BIM and also about drone and GIS. BIM, I think we are in very infant stage. I think there are a few projects where we intend to use BIM. Drone and GIS we have been explicitly using. Even we are using for LiDAR also. So even the company that I lead, we recently did a LiDAR survey for 75,000 hectares. totally dependent on domestic service provider. In 2012, we used LiDAR with, there was a company, FinMap. We used their services. Coming to 2023-24, we are using the services of the domestic service provider. So given the opportunity, I think we can excel and come up with that. I think with the limitation of time, there are so many points that I had noted down, but I couldn't share. Thank you. Thank you again. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your very concise presentation. Now, I would like to request chairperson to take over this session and conclude this session with your concluding remarks, please.
Thank you, Professor Dr. Adhikari. I think this session was full of the experts, like moderator Professor Dr. Rajendra Adhikari. He is also academics for construction industries. He has written many books, articles on this. Keynote speaker, Mr. Binayak Rai, Pai, MD and CEO of a successful construction entrepreneur in India, Tata Projects Limited. Keynote speaker, Mr. Suryaraj Acharya. We all know he is a well-known infrastructure expert and academics. Also, the special remarks from Manmohan Prakash, very famous advisor for the development, especially the infrastructure development. He was former senior advisor, Office of the President, ADB. Similarly, in the form of panel, Nicholas Pandey, a young entrepreneur and founding president of YCNC, Thakur Sharma, consultant and president of SCAF, Abhigya, also young entrepreneur, engineer, and ED Himal Hydro. So it was a very good combination. First of all, I thank Dr. Adhikari for managing the time, at least except the chair of the session. We finished our delivery within the time, and in the most of the cases, a chair is exempted from the time, I guess. Even though I will try to finish within few minutes. We heard from keynote Mr. Pai the importance of timely completion of the project, issues in the project implementation like cash flow, and basically how can we improve the working environment of the construction industry for the successful completion of the project. Keynote speaker Dr. Suryaraj Acharya highlighted the construction industry's role, adding value for GDP, contribution to GDP, its forward and backward linkage, and the issues of the construction industry, obviously the cost, quality, time, and construction disputes. Of course, these issues are not special issues only for Nepal. It is a worldwide issue in the project management, and it can be improved with intervention, effective intervention. Similarly, the responsibility of those issues. I would like to update Dr. Acharya, where you have presented the photograph of the poor section of the road. Now it has been improved. Not like that. It was from Butwal Nangad Road, I think. Similarly, he highlighted the process of infrastructure development. It is originated from the political vision and the instrumental role of the consultants and contractors. Dr. Acharya, yes, I do agree with you. When we are talking about the sustainable development, we of course should enhance the capacity of our domestic construction players. They are contractors and consultants. And we are doing so. You also mentioned that the role of Construction Business Development Council under the MOPIT, of course, it may not be the sufficient, but we have initiated and I am committed to improve the situation in the days to come. We also heard the special remarks from Manmohan Prakash. He inspired us for a $1 trillion economy, GDP, by 2050. Really, this is a strategic vision we need to have. I appreciate your vision on it. He also highlighted some elements for fully developed economy, explained history of the construction industry from a primitive stage to the ultra-modern innovations. Nicholas Pandey, we do agree with the problems of construction industry. Very difficult to highlight few because it is full of problems. But I think we have to prioritize. We cannot stay, okay, we have the full of the problems, so we cannot intervene, but we have to prioritize, and I'd suggest we have to prioritize and mitigate those. Similarly, construction material issue, yes, we are suffering from extraction for the local use, but we could have exported and could get this foreign currency by trading the natural construction material. I do agree with you. Similarly, Abhigya Malla highlighted the potential of hydropower, a clean and sustainable energy, and the capacity of Nepali developers for small and medium hydel projects. The last speaker, Thakur Prasad Sharma, highlighted the way forward to improve the national environment of construction industry, role of 3 Cs in construction industry, and also the time, very crash time provided, time pressure provided in preparation of the project. So I am thankful to all the speakers and moderator. I also have some observations regarding the issues in construction industries of Nepal. Of course, one of the most pertinent issue is the preparation of project. Project readiness issue before contracting. It is a hurdle for successful completion of project in Nepal. Similarly, the material is natural construction material issues, and in some cases, the human resources also. We are facing some problems on that. Coordination among the agencies, technology transfer from the international consultants and contractors also not up to the mark. And some optimal mix of the NCB and ICB so that our domestic construction industry can be beneficial from the technology transfer and experience from the international firms. This corporate culture of our domestic industries, private sector investment in infrastructure, and we only have a large domination of traditional type of contracts, some innovative type of contracts we need to develop, we need to implement, like design and build, EPC, HAM model for the investment in infrastructure, etc. I must say we need to have a national goal from all the agencies for the development. This is our goal, not only the agency concerned with that project. All the players should think that this is our national goal and how can we contribute in this completion of this achieving this goal is must. Having said that, I conclude my remarks and I thank to the moderator, to speakers, panels, and the sponsor, title sponsor, and the sponsor of this session, Shivam Cement, Sadichaji, and the Hotel Solti for providing the venue and hospitality. Thank you all.
Thank you very much to our chair for wonderfully concluding this particular session, and apologies for the time constraint to everybody who's onto the stage, but as an MC I have to make sure that everything runs smoothly and on time. I'd now like to invite Mr. Nikhil Agarwal to kindly join us onto the stage, the Vice President of Sales and Marketing, Shivam Cement, to kindly present the token of appreciation to our chair, to our speakers, to our panelists, and to our moderator, who I think I put under a lot of stress because of the time constraint. But thank you very much to our moderator for managing everything so well. Can we please have the token onto the stage to be provided to our chair, to our panelists, and to our moderators? This, ladies and gentlemen, was our second parallel session, Construction Industry Perspective. धेरै कुराहरू अगाडि आयो तर CNI को यो फ्ल्यागशिप इभेन्टमा उहाँहरूले जसरी सोच्नुहुन्छ त्यस्तो किसिमको आउटकम आउँछ होला भन्ने एक्सपेक्टेसन साथै would like to request our chair, Mr. Keshav Kumar Sharma, Secretary, Ministry of Physical Infrastructure and Transport, to kindly accept this token of appreciation from the organizer side. We'd also like to request Dr. Suryaraj Acharya to kindly step forward and accept this token of appreciation. We'd also like to thank and request Mr. Vinayak Pai to kindly step forward and accept this token of appreciation. And thank you to Mr. Pai for his keynote speech as well. We'd also like to thank and request Mr. Manmohan Prakash, former Senior Advisor, Office of the President, ADB, to kindly accept this token of appreciation. And thank you for allowing us and encouraging us to dream big as well. Thank you to Mr. Nicholas Pandey, Founding President of YCNC. We'd like to request him to kindly step forward and accept this token of appreciation as well. We'd also like to invite Engineer Thakur Prasad Sharma, President of SCAF, to kindly step forward and accept this token of appreciation. Thank you for being a panelist in the second session. We'd also like to invite Ms. Abhigya Malla, Executive Director of High Himalaya Hydro Construction Private Limited. Thank you to her for bringing fresh perspectives in this panel as well. And to our moderator, thank you very, very much, sir, Dr. Rajendra Prasad Adhikari, an infrastructure expert. Thank you for bringing together this fantastic panel on construction industry perspective. Along with them, I also have the name of the winners who got this award from Shivam. So we'd like to request Mr. Agarwal to kindly stay back to present this gift hamper. So we're requesting for the gift hamper of Shivam Cements to kindly be brought onto the stage. Congratulations to Mr. Rajiv Maharjan. If we still have Mr. Rajiv Maharjan, congratulations on giving the correct answer. We'd like to invite you onto the stage and accept this token of appreciation, a gift hamper from Shivam. Mr. Sudhir Thapa. If we have Mr. Sudhir Thapa who gave another correct answer, many, many congratulations. They'd asked some questions regarding Shivam Cement and they were able to answer it correctly. Congratulations to Rajiv Maharjan, Sudhir Thapa, and congratulations to Dr. Sunil Suwal as well. So congratulations to Dr. Sunil Suwal. Well done for participating and getting the right answer in this question that Shivam had posted in the NIS app. May I please request Mr. Agarwal to stay back and requesting our panelists for a group photograph. May I also request our president to kindly join in this group photograph. commemorating the end of the second panel here at Day 2 of Nepal Infrastructure Summit 2024. Ladies and gentlemen, I also highly encourage you to definitely visit the stalls that we have outside. We have 4 stalls on automobile, construction, banking and finance, and transport as well. I'm sure these stalls will provide you with some insights as to what is happening in Nepal in terms of these areas that we have. Thank you very much one more time to all our distinguished speakers, to our panelists as well. Please do join us for lunch outside, and we'll be back at 1 to start another session on waste management. Thank you very much.
जानु छ टाढा चुनौती छन् धेरै पढ्नु छ अघि लि आफ्नो जे हो सबै अधिकारको मामलामा नो कम्प्रोमाइज जसरी आफ्नो क्षेत्रमा तपाई सधैं भन्नुहुन्छ नो कम्प्रोमाइज त्यस्तै शिवम सिमेन्ट क्वालिटीको मामलामा नो कम्प्रोमाइज